20 minutes ago, Intel got a lock on a top priority scientist. Now he's in a no man's land being held by some desert rat named Anwar. I think I know who to send in.
You escaped by jumping out of the plane?
Yeah.
When you escaped, did you happen to have a briefcase with you? Yeah, what's in the case?
It's a top secret.
It's okay. I'm here to rescue you.
Get out, kid!
We are going directly to the rendezvous point, and whatever's in that briefcase is coming with us.
What is an American doing out in Amarakistan?
The kid invented a device that gives them a 13-second edge.
There are some very, very powerful people looking for these two. I need Bruce, and I need that Arab.
Bruce is expendable. Now, the Arab, on the other hand...
I need you to find this man. This man, I want him dead.
Gotta represent a little bit of Mike Awesome tonight. What's up, everyone? No, this part is not pre-recorded, Jody. Trust me, when it gets pre-recorded later on, we'll put in the right-hand corner that it's pre-recorded. I am here by my lonesome for the first part of the show. It is Monday night, 11:05 p.m., November 2nd, 2020, the night before U.S. election. I am Don Tony, and let me explain to everyone what the format is for tonight's show. Mish is here tonight, but the thing is, without getting into too much detail, many of you know that Mish has lived in Chicago for most of his life. He moved to Pennsylvania early this year. Basically, fresh new start, I think might be the right way to call it. Then COVID hit. And then everything's been in turmoil since. So, the job opportunities are not there in Philly. The virus is still not out of here. And, look, I've said this for 9 months now. You're going to sit on Twitter all day and whine to everyone and you got no money? Or do you have to act and take other measures? Maybe you don't have the job that you prefer to have right now. Maybe the work is something that you never envisioned on doing, or maybe even consider a step down in life right now. But you got to do what you got to do for yourself, for your priorities. And Mish, as we speak, is currently on the road driving back to Illinois. He is in the process of moving. He wanted to get a day and a half head start before our election, because Lord knows what is going to go on Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, once we find out who the next president is. So what we did last night is Mish and myself recorded 2 hours for tonight. We had that heated debate about the WWE, Paige, Twitch, Patreon, the stuff taking down AJ Styles' account, Zelina Vega's, Alistair Black's, and all this other stuff. And Mish and I, like I've said on Friday, this is a fence. This is where I am at about it. This is where Mish is. And last night we had a pretty thorough conversation as far as why I feel that a lot of these wrestlers should be able to do certain things on certain outlets, especially if it's their private lives and they're talking personal and they're not using WWE trademarks and copyrights. They're not pretending to be the wrestler a la Scott Hall showing up on Nitro with the toothpick. Hey, yo, Mish, on the other hand, is more in the contractual sense of it, reading parts of the contract. And, I guess the big discussion more than anything is, does WWE have full rights as far as even the future if a medium comes out that WWE is not utilizing yet and that medium takes off? And just because someone is under contract and they're, like you'll hear later or see later, at 3 o'clock in the morning, they just want to come up and chat with people about anything, and fans want to send donations unsolicited, does WWE have a right to that? And that's pretty much the discussion. We also talked about the Vince McMahon documentary that's going to be coming to Netflix. We found out today it's going to be 4 episodes, might be 5. They may do an extra episode with a lot of bonus footage that didn't make the cut. You haven't heard about that yet. And as you will see later, I have a feeling that this Netflix documentary may surpass the quality of The Undertaker Last Ride. It's just, I have a lot of hope for this documentary to be really, really good. I don't think, Ken, I don't think tonight is the anniversary of Mike Awesome's death. If it is, that is a creepy coincidence, because I ordered this shirt about 2 months ago and I've been waiting for it. C70s guy, I've been waiting for it, and it arrived over the weekend. And I said, I'm going to wear it Monday night just to pay a little tribute to Mike Awesome. So, like I said, I'd say I'm not wearing it as far as any anniversary, but if it is the anniversary of his death, oh my God, that's kind of creepy. But no, man, I have to show a little bit of love to Mike Alfonso. So, anyway, so we talked about a bunch of topics. We talked a little bit about AEW. We had a 2-hour conversation. So one thing for everybody tonight, you are guaranteed 2 hours plus whatever I do live right now. And tonight, the beginning of the show, I'm going to talk about Raw. I'm going to talk about the situation with Kylie Ray. I don't know why I was having so many brain farts last week. I said Kylie Ray, Kaylee Ray, Kylie Ray. I just always mix the two names together. But Kylie Ray, remember the formula? Thank God Kylie Ray is here and battling her issues. For those, I guess I could just open right up with it. And I'll explain the movie trailer, the beginning, because this is really, really cool. I think you'll all get a kick out of it. Kylie Ray did not show for Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory. And if you remember last week, Mish and I had a very detailed conversation about this. And regardless what the circumstances were, which we did not know at that time. And you look at all those websites last week that claimed that they knew the reason why. All they kept saying is, she's well, she's well, she's well. No, she's not well. She's not well. They figured, oh, well, she didn't get injured. She didn't slip on a sidewalk of ice going to, Walmart. So everybody assumed that, no, she's okay. She's well. She's well. No, she's not. And, obviously Impact Wrestling had to do an audible. And I tell you, once everything came out today, obviously the well-being, physically, mentally, the well-being of Kylie Ray supersedes anything you do in a ring. She today, and I want to read the statement word for word, so you got it straight from her mouth. She says, and I quote, "I'm truly sorry for the pain that I've caused and miscommunication. I am currently unwell. It's been a very hard decision to make, but please understand, when I am well, I will try to fulfill any obligations that have been missed. She, as of right now, is no longer wrestling. Some people are saying she's retired. She did say she's no longer a professional wrestler. I say never for the simple reason. And look, you see her character, everything bright, sunny days. And this, God, please, when we talked about Ryan Smile, when we talked about Hana Kimura, when we talked about other people who have, been taking from the world on their own grounds, I guess would be the right way to put it. You know, I can't stand social media because everyone out there, you know, well, not everybody, but a lot of people do this formula. You know, make fun of people, make fun of the promotions that they enjoy, the wrestlers that they enjoy, make fun of the wrestlers themselves, make fun of this, make fun of that. And it doesn't matter if you have a blue check mark or not. You know, people bleed the same. People cry the same. And people, especially when they're probably more famous, the pressure is even harder. And they're depressed, just like any other person in this world. And, you know, people, just for the sake of attention and likes, you know, most of the insults will be hidden behind jokes. Then something serious happens, and then you get all the bullshit tweets. We got to be better. We got to care. The most sickest thing that I saw recently, and we talked about it last week, is Miro. This guy is let go by WWE. He signs with AEW. And thousands of social media accounts all made fun of this guy, that he's going to be a jobber, he sucks, he's this, he's that, oh, AEW picking up another reject, blah, 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 blah. Now they see that this guy is happy. Now they see that this guy is having fun. Now they see other things, and they have the balls to say, nobody should tell Miro where he should work and not work. And do these people, I mean, is there like a, maybe Spock is still alive and they're doing the Vulcan mind melt and they just don't realize? Maybe they bought one of those Men in Black magic wands and they totally, you know, vanish from their brain. So now you have Kylie Ray, who is got big problems emotionally. And depression is not just a mental illness, it becomes a physical illness. I mean, I have admitted before, my weight went up to 360 pounds. And I just had a very serious conversation with Mish on Patreon about my addiction to food back in the day. And I had such an addiction to food, and I don't mind saying this right now, that I would go out with friends. I would sometimes go out on a date. I would go to whatever I want to go to. And many, many times, the only thing that would be on my mind is, after the night is over, I'm going to go to the diner, buy myself a feast, and I'm just going to bring it to my house, watch TV, and just feast for hours and hours. And I realized over the years, food became almost like a friend of mine. Food doesn't curse you out. Food doesn't put you down. Food doesn't say a word, and food, that's why they call certain things comfort food. It comforts you. Plus, it brings you memories of family and dinners and this and that, and food became like my go-to. And the thing is, when you're depressed and you prefer to do, it takes control. It takes control. That's why I have changed dramatically on social media. As far as even goofs, when was the last time you saw me write goof, period? I call myself a goof once in a while, joking. You can't assume that everybody online is emotionally strong, no matter if they're in the ring, no matter if they're anonymous, no matter who they are. Because you see Kylie Ray, all the smiley faces, everything cheerful, a whole character, and meanwhile, inside, it was a 180. And you can never assume that the person that you insult it's not going to devastate them, put them over the edge. That's why I think even when the rumors of Kylie Ray no-show in Impact Wrestling, people have to walk a very fine line with stuff like that. You know, so I wish her nothing but the best. You know, I think people need to give her space. Her friends, you know, she truly needs you right now more than anything else. And don't accept no for an answer. fucking surprise her at her house, show up, enjoy yourself. I mean, enjoy their company, make them feel, and it's not going to be, there's no magic pill. Whether you get it from a doctor or you just get it through a tweet or a Facebook message, it builds and it builds. Depression is a real serious thing. And you never assume that the people online, that, that everything is cool in the gang. And now in the wrestling sense of this, just to really shift gears for a minute, I personally think now that Deonna Purrazzo is going to regain that Impact Knockouts title sooner than later. Because now looking at the whole picture, and Mish and I talked about this last week before we knew what the deal was with Kylie Ray. You follow Impact, you know that Impact has invested a lot of time and pushed that storyline between Kylie Ray and Deonna Purrazzo big. Bound for Glory is their WrestleMania. Sure, Impact is nowhere near what it used to be, but that is their WrestleMania. And that match was one of the biggest matches on the card. And one half of the match does not show. And it's not enough to call an audible, okay, we'll put Su Yung in Kylie Ray's place. No, I don't work for them, and this is just opinion, but now I'm starting to think that whoever would have replaced, unless they would have gotten like Thunder Rosa or somebody big, that whoever they replaced, that wasn't enough. That you had to shock the wrestling world, the Impact Wrestling fan world, and you have Su Yung not only face Deonna Purrazzo, but beat her. And that takes the focus a little bit off of Kylie Ray and more of, look at this, Su Yung. In storyline, Deonna Purrazzo wasn't prepared for Su Yung. So it would not surprise me if Su Young's title reign is very, 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 very short. And, it is what it is. But, I wish her nothing but the best, seriously. It's, and what's worse about it, if you read her statement again, she's more apologizing, like she's pretty much saying to everyone that she feels she let everybody down. I promise when I get well, I'll try to fulfill all the obligations. No, you don't need to. Get well, be happy, and that's enough. Being happy and truly having happiness and a release, that is the best way you could fulfill any obligations that you think you need. Your obligation is for yourself, for here and in here. So in her statement, she's already feeling guilty and apologizing to everyone. No. Nothing supersedes wrestling. Nothing supersedes for any of things that you all do out there. You got to put yourself before everyone else. You got to put yourself, your family, your loved ones before everyone else. And never feel guilty, to do what's best for you. So I swear, with all sincerity, I wish her nothing but the best. There's got to be a good ending to this story. And there's never really an ending. There's semicolons and commas and to be continued. We don't want this to turn into something, like so many stories that we have seen in the past. So big shout out to Cleric of Chaos. Thank you very much, my friend. Like I said, tonight's show is a little bit different because Mish is right now driving from Philadelphia to Chicago, and that is not an easy drive. Hell, I go to Mohegan Sun, which is 100 miles away, and I'm like, I try to figure out ways to, work around it. That's more important. Get to Chicago, get there safe, and especially with this election coming up. Tomorrow on Patreon, we're going to cover the election. Believe it or not, Kev Castle is going to be on with us tomorrow. I didn't want to advertise it because without naming anybody's names, very cute people going on social media, oh, the differences are resolved, everything is clear, everything is this, oh, they did that. No. We're going on tomorrow to discuss the election, and that is it. If things happen in the future, they will happen. But please, if you respect me and you respect Kevin and you respect Mish and you respect everybody that's behind the DTKC soup circle, don't put words in our mouths and don't assume that you know everything, because honestly, with all due respect, you know nothing. So, but if you want to join us tomorrow, by all means, shout out to Joe Punches. It's funny because I have everything like minimized right now because I got so many screens here, so I look close. What's the likelihood this Netflix series is going to lead up to Vince actually stepping away? Well, like I said, later on in the show, you'll hear and you'll see the conversation that Mish and I had. And one thing I can say right now, I truly believe that this Netflix series is going to be Vince McMahon's memoir. I don't know if he's going to step away. I personally think, seriously, unless he is totally incapacitated, physically, mentally, or a combination thereof, unless he's totally incapacitated, Vince McMahon will be part of WWE creative decision-making until the day he is no longer on this earth. I truly believe that. And I also think, and again, I don't work for the company, but I truthfully believe, and this is from other people that I have talked to, you see disgruntled people, that end up getting let go from WWE, and they'll, badmouth Vince, and they have their right to, because they feel that they're a disgruntled employee. They didn't get the opportunities or some of the stories. I agree with Miro that, when I chanted Rusev Day and I bought the hat and I bought the shirt, I didn't buy it to mock Rusev. I did it because I enjoyed it. Character. I wanted to share it. When Wrestling Soup did a mock of Rusev Day's shirt, they did it because it was a cool shirt and everybody enjoyed it. Nobody was mocking it and making fun of it. But the thing is that I have a feeling we're going to learn in this Netflix series that Vince McMahon, although big stockholder, the majority, the final say and everything, I think when it leads up to that, I don't think that he is actively involved as much as we all think. Let me say it like this. From 10, 15 years ago to now, I don't think Vince McMahon maybe does half of what he used to do. And you want to know, this is not really proof, but think of it like this. How many times over the years did we used to talk about Vince McMahon's yes men? He had a bunch of people, and it wasn't just Patterson and Briscoe, but he had a bunch of yes men that were his inner circle behind the scenes, and there were people that would just agree to every good point, Vince. No, I agree with you, Vince. Excellent point, Vince. And if you notice, that inner circle is gone. And sure, Gerald Briscoe is one of the last to be let go, and he may get hired back, who knows? But you don't see that anymore. And don't say to me, well, Stephanie is now his yes man, and so is Triple H. No, I don't think so. Because you see the differences in how Vince McMahon operates things and Triple H. So, but, I'm very curious, and I'm really anticipating what Netflix is going to put out. When they advertise that it's going to be the most expensive documentary series that they've ever done, they are going balls out. And they're not going to go balls out just so we could see Vince in little baby shorts when he was 6 and growing up with mommy and daddy. Now, there's going to be some real deep meat and potatoes being served. I think it is going to be a very powerful documentary, and I think it's going to, when we look back on it, this is pretty much Vince McMahon's memoir. Sure, WWE may do their own thing down the line, but I think this may end up being his memoir. So before I go any further, I want to give a special shout out to one of my longtime friends of the show, been on our Patreon since day one. Some of you in the past may have heard me shout out someone by the name of Mustainer. Well, believe it or not, he is the one that actually did this film that you saw at the beginning of the show, Dead on Time. It's on Amazon Prime Video right now for free. down below in this YouTube section and for the audio only areas, I am going to put a link up. You could click on it. It looks pretty damn cool. I mean, it stars, and you might not recognize the names, but it stars John Sjogren. And the funny thing is, if you look at the trailer again, he looks like the ECW hat guy sitting on front row. I wouldn't be surprised when Mustaine, if he was involved in how the characters were going to look at times, I wouldn't be surprised if he says, you know, I actually kind of like thought of ECW. Looking back, he looks like ECW hat guy. He's wearing it, just looks the same. And then you got Mohamed Zawawi and Michelle Gershi. So check it out. I have not watched the film yet, so I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, I saw it, it's awesome, this and that. But the trailer looks pretty cool. So go check it out. Support a friend of the family. You know, I love that so many friends of the family are out there and taking it, going for it. You're going to go for things sometimes, and you're not going to actually get it. You're going to have, you know, some disappointments and some letdowns that should never stop you from still trying to go for it. Don't be one of those people that just sits on social media and tries to convince you through $320 characters that they have gotten it. Because trust me, I know there's a lot of you out there that agree with me. You go out and you get it. You want to tell the world. But not only do you want to tell the world, you want to show the world. You want to be proud of it. You know, when somebody gets a beautiful car, if they spent 6 hours waxing it, first thing they'll do is they'll put a picture online for everyone. You know, they buy their first house, and to them it looks like a beautiful mansion. For us, it might look like a little junk box. And what do? They take a picture of taking the for sale sign off out of the ground, this and that. You buy something, you go out to dinner, you're with family, this and that, you take pictures. And then there's those group of people that will do all those same things and not show you nothing. Doesn't jive up. Doesn't jive up. But I love the fact that he's going out and getting it. Robert William Curl, another person that you've seen in the chat a lot. He wrote a powerful book, and he's sending me one. And it talks about psychology and social media and people. It's fascinating. So I absolutely love that some of you out there, and trust me, it's hard. For some people, it could take years, a decade plus, to get, where you're looking to go, but never, ever stop. Never stop. You might have 100 people that'll turn you down, but if you get one that says yes, that might be your opportunity to take it. So, wanted to also give a shout out to Jay Carlos. What do I think is the actual problem that Kylie Ray has? It's depression. It's depression. We have learned, especially with celebrities over the years. You ever hear that phrase, money doesn't buy you happiness, money doesn't buy you love? There is a deep void, and I think what happens, I'm just guessing here, but I think what happens, especially when you become, a performer, whether it's movies or an athlete, a musician, a wrestler, I think there is an unbelievable amount of pressure on someone. And at the end of the day, Kylie Ray, when we all get that feeling like she's almost like the girl next door and her gimmick kind of reflects that, psychologically that could be the case. And when your name is all around the world and this extreme pressure to deliver, COVID or no COVID, that's a lot of weight to put on someone's shoulders. Look at Mauro Ranallo. Mauro Ranallo is one of the most beloved commentators in the last 20 plus years. And he not only excels in wrestling, he excels in other sports with his commentary. And that man battles mental health 24/7, 365 to the point that even though overwhelmingly he got nothing but love on social media, just a couple of trolls did it. It takes one person that could put someone over the edge. And I don't ever want to be that person. That's why even with some of my controversies in 2020, I made a concerted effort to just let things go. Not forgive and forget, but let things go. because, you know, it might be a little bit enjoyable to kick someone while they're down, but I'm not going to be the person that has to live with that I kick someone while they're down, even if they deserved it, and then that person, you know, does some drastic measure and you find out that there was just a ticking time bomb and I happened to put some gasoline on a tiny lit fuse. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to live with that. So, you know, that's how I look at it. So it's very, very complicated. You know, you would think someone like Kylie Ray, it's very easy to say, you know, look, she's got it all. She's great. She's this. She's got great friends. There's something. And I would, like I said, I wish her nothing but the best. Mauro Ranallo, some of you out there, absolutely, who are going through things. I mean, a lot of you, I am very, very touched and truly humble, and I'm not just pandering, but truly humble when a lot of you say to me that, you know, what I do gets your mind off of a lot of, you know, things going on. It's not just COVID, it's family, money, bills, relationships, you know, health. And trust me, you know, somebody recently on a Q&A said, you know, do I ever wake up on a day that I'm not smiling? And I'm like, yeah, every day. But, you know, I try to overcome that. I'm not suffering from massive depression, but I've been there and it's not fun. And I brought up a little smidgen earlier about the food addiction and everything, but this is an escape for me as well. You know, and I think, honestly, and I'm dead serious here, I know tons of times I say to all of you out there, it's going to be a short show. It's going to be a short show. It's going to be a short show. And believe me when I tell you, and I don't want to go too far with this because you still got 2 hours coming with Mish and myself. But, you know, I'll tell you something legit. We turned the clocks back an hour over the weekend. Extra hours sleep. Nice. We ended up gaming, jackboxing, Among Us, you know, everybody's taking off with that. But the thing is that Friday night, after I did the show, was around 1:30 in the morning. And I told my fiance, I'm like, look, do me a favor. If you get up early, don't wake me up. Let me just sleep until I want to get up. I got up at 2:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. And I felt great. And on Saturday night, I went to sleep very late, and I got up after about 4 or 5 hours, which is my normal sleep time. And what I find myself doing more and more now is injecting myself with vitamin B during the day. Remember I did the whole thing defending Braun Strowman for that syringe in his bathroom? That was a legit vitamin B shot. That's vitamins. It's not steroids. I showed you the exact same syringe. I am prescribed vitamin B. But my point is that I'm starting to realize as I approach my 50s, I'm starting to realize that when my doctor says you need 8 hours of sleep, my friend, minimum 8 hours. I haven't, you know, on a regular basis, I haven't slept 8 hours a night since I was in probably high school. But I'm starting to see now that I truly need to start trimming these back a little bit because it's just a time bomb that something is going to go wrong, you know, no matter how much weight I lose. So, but and my point is, when we start these shows and I'm interacting with you on the chat, super chat, all our conversations, Patreon, the conversations get so good and they go in directions that I don't plan on going during the show. That next thing you know, 2 hours go by, 2.5 hours go by, and everybody is still enjoying it. So I'm like, hey, you know, let's just keep going. Let's just keep going. But so that's the truth. I mean, it's not, you know, that I keep saying it and I lie and I don't know how to manage. No, if we're having great conversation, and I see the numbers, and I could see that, you know, certain topics you see people turning off, and then sometimes you have some real conversation. And when we talked right after George Floyd, that tragedy, and I remember one night Mish and I were on here, we were talking about, you know, the situation going on with police and, you know, just everything. And, you know, we watched the numbers, And I'm not like Trump, like, oh, it's all about the big ratings and numbers. No, the point was, during our conversation, he sent me a DM, and I usually keep my DM silent because you don't want alerts going off during the show. But I looked at the DM, and he's like, do you see how many people are tuning in? And just the number just kept going up and up and up and up. We almost were at 2,000 people at one point, and this conversation went on for 40 minutes. So he's like, let's just keep going. So, you know, I get a feel when you should move on or not. But that's what happens. That's what happens. So, and one last thing before we move on. And thank you, Stoney Loney. I really do appreciate that. It's been following, you know, my work for forever. So I really do appreciate that. Thank you very much, my friend. You know, as long as I could physically still do these, and as long as my significant other gives me the okay, you know, because she's the boss, and if she says to me it's either my, you know, her or the shows, you know, I mean, I don't think that'll ever happen. I've had long conversations with her already, and she's fine. She knows that this is an escape for me. And just so you know, she actually was in the chat room tonight. She actually posted something. I'm not going to mention her name. You'll probably scroll it back and like, who. She really did. And the truth be told, and some schmucks don't understand the humor about it. She followed me on Twitter once, and I blocked her. And she's like, why did you block me? I said, because I don't want you to start posting on my stuff, and then people realize who you are, and they start trolling you. I don't want her to get caught into that, because she doesn't have the thick skin, because she doesn't use social media like that. And I don't want that to happen, you know, so that's why I did it. But, yeah, so anyway, but thank you, Stoney Loney. I appreciate that. Before we go any further, I want to just shout this guy out. Trust me, he actually was not bad as a wrestler. And unfortunately, I have to say was. His name is Gregory L. Black. He passed away over the weekend. 38 years old. Was an indie wrestler. Also did a little bit on the opposite side behind the camera. Was involved in entertainment. I know for all of you that live in my neck of the woods, if you've heard of Nelson Torres and WTF, that promotion, he was involved with that promotion as well. And again, unfortunately, you know, look, we had a WWF referee pass away over the weekend. I remember his name. I'm going to pay tribute to him on Wednesday. But he reffed in the 50s and the 60s. Little bit in the 70s, but let's be honest. No fucking website out there other than maybe Evan Ginsberg and the Cauliflower Alley Club and some of the old-time legends. They don't know who this guy is. And you go on these bullshit websites today, and they all write, we are saddened to hear the loss of son. I mean, I understand you have to generically write stuff sometimes, and there's a template. But when I see someone that they have never heard of before and who lived to be almost 90, and they're like, we are deeply saddened. I swear to God, you know, remember when Great Muta used to spit the green mist, or Tajiri or Oscar? I want to take battery acid. Seriously, I want to take battery acid and take all those websites. We are saddeningly, spit it right in their face. You ain't saddeningly nothing. You don't give a shit. And truth, and case in point, you see this guy? How many websites brought up this guy? 38 years old. 38 years old. I got water everywhere now. See, I shouldn't have even done that. But 38 years old. Passed away. How many people were saddened by that or even mentioned it? They don't give a shit. So I wanted to mention it. Rest in peace, Gregory Black. And so sad, the disingenuous people. I need a paper towel badly. Badly! Oh, you know, here. Yeah, look at this. Oh, you'll appreciate this, especially the anti-Trumpers out there. Hold on. Just wiping a little bit of water over here. I will not ever do that again, because that was a pretty dumb thing for me to do. But I used to have this shirt. Deplorable me. See? But honestly, to be honest with you, that's how I feel about this election right now. No bullshit. No bullshit. Not happy with either candidate, to be honest with you. I still don't know if I'm voting. So I'll tell you the truth. I'm about 80% sure that I will vote, but I'm only voting for my local government in the city and the towns. I don't think I'm voting for president. I think I'm going to just leave it blank. So that's how I feel right now. As of right now, I don't think I'm voting for the presidency. I'll vote for probably my local. And look, I might change my mind when I get in the booth. But I don't want to get into politics because Mish and I spent about 5-10 minutes talking about it yesterday. So you'll get that a little bit later. And yeah, Jay Carlos, she is awesome for letting me do the shows, There's just got to be a good balance, plain and simple. And the funny thing is we've been together for 8 years now. And when I first met her, she knew, oh, Nelson Torres, look at that, WTF. We were just talking about Nelson Torres, and here he is, there he is. Are you amazed, Nelson? We are sad, nothing. So, you know what? The people that gave a shit about him, I'm not going to lie, all right? Let me make this clear. I didn't know the guy well. I think I met him maybe once or twice at like some of those outdoor shows that they would do on the block party events. Like I met him maybe once or twice back in I think 2011 or 2012. But I didn't know the guy personally, But I know a lot of his friends and people who worked with him, were truly, devastated by this because he was only 38. So I wanted to make mention of it. So. Anthony Diaz says, since I ripped the shirt, I like the shirt because that was more of a shot to Hillary than anything else. Deplorable me. But I tell you, man, I'm just not feeling it. Just not feeling it. I wrote on Twitter earlier today, if you're going to vote, do not let anyone intimidate you or guilt you. Without naming specific names, especially those in the wrestling business, most are retired now. They're doing videos every other day to convince you to vote one way or the other. And if you look at their reasons, most of their reasons don't even affect us. They're talking about Russian stuff. They're talking about China. They're talking about this. And yes, the China virus obviously affected us all, but I only give a fuck for the next 4 years who is going to not cause my gas to go up to $4.50 a gallon. I don't want these diners to keep their cheeseburger deluxes at the $28 that were $8 before the virus. I want to see that my parents don't have to sell a piece of property simply because they can't take the tax deductions that they used to take. I want to see who is not going to hammer me with stuff, with taxes. So I got to worry about me that my medical insurance doesn't go over $1,000 a month. I don't mind about, covering people who can't afford health care, but don't triple my coverage simply to pay someone else. There's got to be other ways of doing it. And the idea, and again, I don't want to get into all politics right now, but the idea that you're going to take crazy amounts of money, whoever the president is, from the top, they always pass it down to us. They always. Amazon Prime goes up to $150 a year. You want to reschedule, look at UPS. You want to reschedule a package? It used to be $5. Now it's $9.99. In the end, we all pay. And that's why I am concerned about me and my family and my inner circle. I care about all of you as well. Obviously, that's why I'm here. But at the end of the day, I got to care for who's important to me. And I honestly, it's not that I don't care about the rest of the world, but unfortunately, and I said this earlier, some of those celebrities that are now getting a little bit intimate with all of you out there, that are actually responding to some people, oh my God, I can't believe blah, blah, blah tweeted me. And I'm not talking about Dewey Foley and Obama. I thought that was pretty cool, to be honest with you. But for some of you out there who actually got a response to it, where the fuck are they when it's not election year? Do they give two shits about you 2 weeks from now, 2 months from now, 2 years from now? They only give a shit when an election comes around and they want you to choose who they want. You know, and again, I'm not going to put any singular actors or actresses, but at the end of the day, when you have an issue, do they ever tweet you support or send you a DM? Do they? No, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. So I don't give a shit. And trust me, I have friends that have blue check marks. And, you know, I hope they don't think I'm talking about them. Not every person is like that, but a majority of them, they don't give a shit about us. None of them do. So anyway, we got to move on because we're already going 45 minutes. And again, you still got 2 hours coming with Mish and myself. I will warn everyone that the convo that we had about Paige and the WWE and Twitch and AJ Styles and Patreon and all this other stuff and Elias taking down his Patreon, that convo probably goes about 40 minutes. So it got detailed because you can't look at a lot of this stuff simply based on emotion. You know, that's what Andrew Yang does. And I like Andrew Yang, and I brought that up before. But Andrew Yang, you know, like he gets you emotionally. But meanwhile, you know, that's all it is. And you have to think a little bit of logical here, you know, and you'll hear the discussion later. I thought it was pretty damn good. You'll learn some things about independent contractors and hold harmless and a few other things. So, no, Ray, the conversation is right here tonight. As soon as I'm done talking about Raw, I'm going to stream right here what we did yesterday. It's pre-recorded, and it's going to be for everybody. It's available for everyone. So, like I said, Mish could not be here tonight live. So we did 2 hours yesterday that I'm going to share with you tonight, and that will be added to what you're getting right now. And then next week, Mish will be right back here with me, and we'll do as we normally do. Now, Saturday is the AEW pay-per-view. I will definitely be doing a recap. I will probably do it with Mish, since I know Joey Numbers is not doing a recap with him. So it'll probably be myself and Mish doing it. And we talked about it briefly. I'll get into it Wednesday. Predictions will be Wednesday as well. I might save the predictions for Friday since we got to do two TV recaps Wednesday. But I'll tell you this, from top to bottom, and you'll hear me say this a few times between now and Saturday, from top to bottom, I think it is the best stacked AEW pay-per-view card to date. There's really not a bad match on the card. And I know some of you can say, well, Nyla, but no, even that I think is going to be a lot better than what people think. You know, she hasn't been just sitting in a hotel room and eating, you know, when she's not on TV. She's actually been working out and really working her ass off. And a lot of people have. So anyway, VJ's asking me, no, Mish will not be able to join me Wednesday. We're doing audio only tomorrow on Patreon because he will not have his camera stuff set up yet. So he said that he probably will need to be until Friday at the earliest. So, and there is always that possibility that he still will not be set up yet, and I may have to do the recap solo. But as of right now, Mish wants to join me Saturday and probably will. So, anyway, let's talk a little bit about Raw tonight. Because, you know what I got to share with you later on? Oh, man, this is great. You know what? We could bring this up now. Did you all get to see this yet? Did you see this yet? WWE was showing behind the scenes of Thunderdome and how they monitor all the screens and everything like that. And when they showed the backstage, they actually accidentally revealed their banned image list. Now, to be honest with all of you out there, and I think 90% of you will say the same thing I'm about to say. Are you surprised? Seriously, are you surprised that WWE has a banned image list? I don't think anybody out there should be surprised at all. Now, unfortunately, I have not gotten a high definition copy of this yet, but if you look a little bit closer, you could see some of the promotions: AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan. The Young Bucks are on there. Marty Scurll is on there, believe it or not. Alberto El Patron, Ryback. CM Punk is somewhere on there as well. I actually, if you go back, let me reset this. Hold on. Let me reset this back. Okay. If you go back to my image, all right, and I zoom in on this a little bit, if you look a little bit close, I actually took a screenshot of some of the names. There you go. AEW, Impact, New Japan, Enzo Amore, Cody Rhodes, Marty Scurll, the Young Bucks, Chris Benoit, CM Punk, Jim Cornette, Ryback, Alberto El Patron. And, obviously there's other images there as well. And if we get a more complete list, but I did get a little chuckle at that. But, I mean, honestly, is anybody surprised? I don't think so. I mean, it's pretty obvious. Even when back in the day, when they confiscated signs, they would have certain names that they would tell people in production to look out for. If they saw a sign that involved something, they would confiscate it. Now, trust me, when it came to Saudi Arabia and they confiscated the sign that had Don Tony on it and, also talked about WrestleMania and everything, that was different because they didn't have a banned list backstage, and I wasn't on that list. It was just there was so few signs that they would just look at each one, and if something looked like it's inappropriate, they would just take it away. But I honestly think it's common sense that WWE would not want their competition. The one person that surprises me a little bit is CM Punk because he does stuff for Fox. But, I think at the end of the day, I feel like WWE sometimes, grinds their teeth and bites their lip, when they have to do stuff, and CM Punk, has to deal with Fox. I don't think WWE really, and maybe they could work out something in the future. But I think ever since he said that derogatory stuff, I think to Miz, I think WWE's like, fuck this guy. Seriously. So, so there you go. I just figured I'd share it with everyone, get a little chuckle out of it. By the way, what did you all think of Alexa Bliss with her Laffy Taffy tongue? Say that fast 10 times. Her Laffy Taffy tongue. Now, for those out there who think that yours truly will do a Laffy Taffy tongue on this show, the answer is absolutely not. I personally, look, I loved the Firefly Funhouse segment today when you have Abby the Witch telling Randy Orton, go fuck yourself. And they have the profanity jar now. They keep putting change in it. But honestly, I thought the Laffy Taffy thing was goofy and stupid. I love the eyes. Everything Alexa Bliss is doing right now, she's been rock solid with it. She's doing a phenomenal job. She is fitting in like a freaking glove. Wario! She's fitting in like a glove. But WWE sometimes can't help themselves and do a little bit too much. They shot themselves in the foot last week bringing up cyanide, and today doing the Laffy Taffy stuff. I mean, now you're going to get a whole bunch of people on social media. They're now going to take pictures with Laffy Taffy hanging out of their mouths and everything. But the Laffy Taffy tongue. The Laffy Taffy tongue. Yeah. For some reason, that doesn't look sexy to me. I mean, you've seen those photos of all those girls over the years on social media, I'm not going to lie. When I first saw it, I'm like, why are these goofs all sticking out their tongue? And they'd be there going. And then somebody educated me a little bit. And I don't think that looked like that at all. That's Laffy Taffy tongue. So now, every time you get the urge to be a little bit aroused of Alexa Bliss with the Laffy Taffy tongue, I want to leave you with the envision of this. Or better yet, when Bray Wyatt puts the hand over Alexa Bliss's face and then he lets it go, well, they do that little, screenshot of the monster because they got to put the contacts in. But if you picture Bray Wyatt putting his hand over the face, you have Lexi with the Laffy Taffy tongue, and then Bray Wyatt puts a hand over her face, and then when he lets it go, he reveals to see that. No, we got to do a close-up. That's what Alexa Bliss really, truly looks like without makeup. So, anyway, the Laffy Taffy tongue. By the way, who do you think? Who do you think Angel Garza is trying to hit on? Me personally, I think it's got to be the most opposite person. Like, you know, what was it, Demi, whatever, what was that girl's name? Demi Galato? What was that girl's name? Demi Burnett, I think. Excuse me for a minute. The fact that I know Demi Burnett's name by heart right now, that is not good. That is not good. Was that really her name? Debbie? So it's got to be the complete opposite. It's got to, what was that TV show where somebody started like really getting attractive? And I'm not, don't say to me Mark Henry in China or Eddie Guerrero in China or something like that, because that's not really opposites. Why are my glasses all foggy? But it's got to be someone that you least expect. Now, if there was like a female hornswoggle in the company, then I'd say, okay, maybe. If you got someone who only has like 9 toes or maybe has 3 eyes or, 14 fingers, all right, maybe that person would be as well. I think maybe it's Nia Jax. First person that came to mind. And if you remember, I've talked in the past about the idea of doing something with Nia Jax in like a love storyline. But I think I might have said Otis and Nia Jax. I think I might have used that pairing back in the day. But I'm very curious to see who Angel Garza is, shouting out in the WWE universe. But look, Angel Garza looking dapper tonight. I love the suit. The herringbone chain is a little bit outdated, but hey, maybe in the Latino world, herringbone is still in. Me, that's so 1988-ish. But Kavan, Peyton Royce, but why would it, you know what I mean? Like, it feels like, look, obviously Angel Garza is a very attractive man, almost like a heartthrob, always, complimenting the ladies, no matter who they are. But this feels like a storyline where, you know what it's like? Okay. There's a movie that my mother absolutely loves. She has watched this movie about 100 times over the years. I've watched it once with her. And when it was done, I was like, oh, it was a nice movie. And I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. You're going to know who it is as soon as I say it. Jason Alexander from Seinfeld was in it. I think the girl's name was Gwyneth Paltrow. Is that who it is? And she was fat, like really, really heavy. But in someone else's eyes, I think he thought that she looked Shallow Hal. Yeah, there you go, Eddie Valentino. Props. Shallow Hal. There you go. Shallow Hal. To me, I'm starting to think this might be a Shallow Hal, where he just sees the absolute beauty. And whoever it is, it's not going to be on the level of Shallow Hal because they don't have anybody there. But I would not be surprised. Anthony Diaz, I can't cut a promo in this thing. I'm not Latino. It's funny. Like, if I do certain nationalities, everybody laughs at it. But if I do goody, for some reason, I'm a racist. I can make fun of people in my neighborhood. Hey, Anthony, it's Tommy. I need you to come over right now. Angel Garza, I just, so beautiful. I can't do it. I can't, I can't think about it. But, I hate saying it like this, but WWE does not have any uber ugly women. You know what I mean? They don't have any, and I'm not saying Bertha Faye was ugly, but they made her character look over the top, a little bit ugly. But WWE doesn't have any uber ugly people. So, it really narrows down that to me, it's got to be almost like a light version of Shallow Hal. Hey, who is the person that said to you 5 or 6 weeks ago that Murphy and Aaliyah were going to do a Romeo and Juliet storyline and kiss in the ring? And everybody else thought I was nuts. Yes, I bragged about it Friday, I think deservingly so. And tonight, when Ricochet took on Tucker and Retribution came out, did any of you think about what I said back in early October that Tucker should join Retribution? When Retribution first came out tonight, did anybody out there say, motherfucker, I got to hear Don Tony once again? I mean, for a brief moment, I mean, Tucker looked like crap tonight. Now he's got Knight in the back, and he looks like, enhancement talent, which is terrible. But I'll be honest, I was rooting tonight. I'm like, please, 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 let him join Retribution. Because that would be the ultimate this to the hater potatoes out there. That's what we call them now. We don't call them goofs anymore. We just call them the hater potatoes, But I'm telling you, I was hoping so. Oh, shout out to 90s guy. Shout out to 90s guy from the 70s guy. I will more appropriately shout you out in a couple of minutes. But I still think there's a possibility that Tucker may see the light and join Retribution. And I know, the whole Retribution thing has been, and by the way, the promo that I feared from Mustafa Ali was done today on social media. If you remember, when they did the revelation and you and I had this great conversation, we said that we don't want the promo to feel like fill in the blank, and any disgruntled WWE wrestler could say the same thing. And we also did not want Mustafa Ali's ethnicity brought up. Sure enough, today, they did this promo on social media about how he looks, about his name, and I'm like, WWE, go fuck yourself, seriously. Because there's been so much love and praise, and I know it's a storyline, and maybe in Mustafa Ali's head, he's got it wrong, but, it's just, what a cheap bullshit way to try. This is, to me, desperation on WWE's part with this storyline. When even the other day, I think Ali might have said something on social media like he wants us to expect Retribution to fail. That's almost on the level of Vince McMahon saying that, oh no, all the Rusev Day is a mock. You don't ever want people to perceive that somebody fails. If you want to say, look, I hope you don't think I fail. Watch what happens when otherwise happens. The problem is that you have to say that, now you have to deliver. And when they've been doing the last couple of weeks, ever since Ali has been put in that role as the leader, they've lost, and having 5 people beating up Ricochet today, is not very impressive. And to be honest with you, I like Ricochet, and Ricochet obviously, maybe not utilized to the way he should, but when they're holding him down and he's looking at Ali and he's like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I would have been like, fuck you. I would have hit him myself. Ricochet was not a sympathetic guy today. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Remember, Ricochet had the match with Tucker because he was so upset of what Tucker did to Otis. Ricochet deserved the ass kicking. So, anyway, that's cool. So we got all that out of the way. Now, let's fill in the blanks a little bit. So Randy Orton tonight comes out and he's talking about, again, retrospect. It's usually last week. Tonight it's 8 days ago. I won the WWE championship and blah, 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 blah. And he's no longer the legend killer. He's a legend. And he invites anyone to come out, try to take this from him. And I'm a Randy Orton fan, so I'm not, but all, you could predict every part of this. So next thing you know, Alexa Bliss's music hits, and she's in the ring, and she's been nailing it, and she's got the gloves that say pain, and what do the gloves say? I took the picture. It's play and pain, play and pain. And I thought she was going to say once again, let him in, but she said he could be here tonight. And then the next thing you know, we think the Fiend is going to come out. Instead, Drew McIntyre comes out Randy, I'm getting my revenge. Randy, Claymore, Randy, Claymore. It almost feels like after Survivor Series, it's going to be Claymore, Randy, and Fiend. Three-way. That's what it feels like. I wouldn't be surprised if the Fiend gets involved in the Randy Orton-Roman Reigns match, you know? But it's going to be a Claymore party. Claymore. And I like Drew. I mean, you know, you would think because of Hell in a Cell, after having, and this is a good example, and I'm not knocking it, but this is a great example. When I've been saying for the last 8 or 9 months that WWE is taking a lot of their feuds and taking the uber scenic route. You know, you go from here, you know, like me, it's 110 miles to go from my house to Mohegan Sun. And usually you take a couple of roads, I-95, a couple other things, and you're there. And I could get there in 100 miles, but we're in COVID. So now instead of getting there in 100 miles, I take the back roads and I take all these, and now I got to drive 170 miles. And not only that, I'm going to stop to pee. I'm going to stop for gas. I'm going to stop for, I don't know, some, you know, rest station, what's a good one? Not McDonald's, but like Roy Rogers with those real dried out potatoes have been sitting there overnight that everybody's picked up and put back down, and you buy them anyway, or you get some stale donuts. Then you get back on the highway, and even though you still have 9/10 of a tank of gas, you pull off and get more gas and maybe take some pictures of whatever. And, you know, 9 days later, you get to Mohegan Sun. This is what's going on with Randy and Claymore. You know, it's the Hell in a Cell should have been the culmination of this. They should have had him have an injury storyline. He's, you know, licking his wounds, but they want to make him come off as the Bionic Man. You know, like nothing, you know, phases him. He fell off the cage. He's on TV wrestling the next day and this and that. And the problem is, you know, we have Survivor Series in 3 weeks. I mean, Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns is pretty much the set match. So that's got to be a build. There's got to be some friction between Roman Reigns and Randy Orton somewhere. And you realize that because of the Roman Reigns Jey Uso storyline, which is great, we've been praising it, they're so dedicated to that. You know, it's almost like Randy Orton, you know, when you like, remember I always use the bakery reference that they're baking bread and cookies and you smell everything and the oven is hot, that you're outside and unfortunately the door is locked and your nose is like plastered against the glass like this and you're just breathing and there's like breath everywhere and you're like, let me in. Like the storyline leading to Randy Orton versus Roman Reigns. You know, it's almost like Randy Orton is on that glass like, let's do this storyline, you know, put this aside for a little while. And they're trying to masquerade that with Claymore, you know, Drew McIntyre and The Fiend. You know, I mean, oh, how are we going to add another week? Oh, I got it. We'll just have Drew McIntyre Claymore him, and then, you know, just when we think we're going to go off the air, and then it goes off the air. Oh, we got through another week. That's what it feels like. Does anybody in their right mind think that The Fiend is going to take the belt off of Randy Orton? I don't think so. Drew McIntyre is not going to get the belt right now. Next year, I think that is a very good possibility. So, you know, they're milking this. And then you got Survivor Series. And then, you know, before you know, we're at the Royal Rumble. And then it's the road to WrestleMania. So they are really milking this. But then Miz and Morrison, you know, after Drew McIntyre knocks Randy Orton out with the Claymore, Miz and Morrison run down to the ring. Miz wants to cash in the briefcase, and the same predictable shit that they have been doing years and years and years. It's cool when you do it one time. I could understand doing it a second time because it was so cool the first time. Then the second time, people are like, all right, oh, you know, I understand why they did it because the first time was so cool. But then they do it a third time and a fourth time and a fifth time. And it's just so uninventive now. You knew for a fact that when Miz handed the briefcase Especially after Drew just painted the picture. Nobody gets Randy except for me. You know, you knew that Drew McIntyre was going to knock The Miz out right before the referee finishes his sentence. Why doesn't the referee, if Randy Orton could be knocked out and the match could start, then why can't the referee start the match when The Miz is knocked out? He gave the briefcase. It's no longer in his hands. He gave it to the referee. Why does the referee stop? Maybe he should, Drew McIntyre should claim more the referee. Wouldn't that make a little bit more sense? What'd you do? What'd you do? There's no referee. It's so stupid. It's so stupid and predictable. And then we get the main event set up tonight. Oh, Miz and Morrison. Yeah, Braun Strowman wasn't enough. We'll have Drew McIntyre do the same thing that Braun Strowman did to them. You know, I like Miz and Morrison. I'm one of the few people that enjoy their work. But, man, you know, it's just like tonight was just, a lot of it was just so going through the motions. It's the same shit, just different names filled in sometimes. Who's the next big monster that's going to fuck with Miz and Morrison and vice versa? Keith Lee? And by the way, and I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm complaining a little bit, because not everything tonight was bad. But how forced and awful was the AJ Styles, Sheamus, Keith Lee segments tonight. And the Braun Strowman interaction I liked. But AJ Styles, you know, he feels that he should be Captain AJ. He feels he should be the captain. I don't know why, for some reason this year, they don't want to name a captain right away. I mean, I know why, because they just want to milk it and stretch it. But what I don't understand is when AJ Styles brings out Sheamus, then he brings out Keith Lee. The whole time Keith Lee walks down the ring, he's like, now, if you're so against AJ calling himself the fucking captain, then why would you go to the ring when he cues up your music? It's just, what are you, stupid? Like, if somebody calls me and like, oh, so-and-so, you know, is calling you, and I don't want to be bothered with him, I let it to go to fucking voicemail. I'll just ignore it. And I'll say, shit, I didn't see your DM until the next day. Sorry. Meanwhile, I saw that son of a bitch immediately. You know, how stupid was it that AJ calls out Keith Lee and he walks to the fucking ring. And then when he walks in the ring and, you know, again, you know, cutting promos while having these discussions and everybody has their segment to say something. Braun Strowman comes out and, you know, says, hey, you know, I should be on the team. And all of them are saying, oh, we all had qualifying matches and you didn't, and blah, 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 blah. So Adam Pearce comes out and says, you know, like, you know, Braun and this and that, I can't find an opponent for you. And AJ Styles has this tremendous idea. Keith Lee versus Sheamus versus Braun Strowman. And if Braun Strowman wins, he gets a spot on the team. Gee, can you figure out who's going to win that match? And gee, can you figure out who's likely going to be pinned because everybody bitches and whines when Keith Lee gets pinned? They have a three-way. And the three-way was great. I mean, they went through the barricades. They're all hitting all their power moves. And, you know, it was a great match. But the whole setup was so, like, choreographed. Every sentence, it just didn't feel like it flowed. To me, Braun Strowman was the only one that it felt like it flowed. And, you know, look, I agree, Sam. It was a dumb match only because we knew what the outcome was going to be. But let's be honest. Those three guys actually had a great match. Not one you're going to remember, you know, a couple of months from now, but they had a pretty good match. I was fine with the match. It's just the setup was just so blah. Then here's another one. Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the tag titles. The match only went 4 minutes. But, you know, there is suspension of disbelief. And again, I have nothing personal against Dana Brooke. But I beg you, I beg all of you, please go back and look at the finish of that match. Just look at the finish of that match. You had Shayna Baszler selling all of this stuff that Dana Brooke has given her. And again, when I watch a horror film and people are getting killed, I want that suspension of disbelief that for a little while that what's happening is real. When a superhero wins in the end and kills the bad guy or gets him arrested, I want the suspension of disbelief that that person actually committed a heroic act. When I see any movie that's not real, you know, I wanted to emotionally for 2 hours make me forget that it's just produced and it's not. So when I watch a match like this, you know, try to make me forget a little bit, you know, as far as who's in the ring. And to see Shayna Baszler selling it like that, it's not like she had a bad day. It was, you know, not going to go there, but, you know, it's not a bad day or time of, you get it. She's selling it. And then in the very end, Dana Brooke, with all due respect, reminds everyone why that fucking match shouldn't have happened in the first place the way it did. Mandy Rose climbs the ropes. Please go back and look at it. Mandy Rose climbs the ropes. Shayna Baszler pushes Dana Brooke into Mandy Rose. I swear to God, if anybody remembers records, if you've ever played a record, you ever play a record in 40 that's supposed to be 45 speed, and you accidentally put it on 33 speed, and instead of hearing like a regular song, you would be like, it was so slow and so sloppy, and Mandy Rose is like standing like, push me already, push me already. It was just horrendous. And Dana Brooke taps out. Dana Brooke reminded all of us tonight why it's nothing personal. From what I see and learn about her, she's a really, really nice person behind the scenes. But even if someone is a really good person, if they suck as an actress or an actor, I'm probably not going to go to their films. And I don't think that we should ever have to enjoy or act like you enjoy someone's work simply because they're a good person. No, it's world wrestling entertainment. It's not world wrestling filled of great people who are trying to be entertainers, so you should, you know, give them props for that. No, if you're not a good entertainer, I think you should be called down on that. And Dana Brooke, that ending was horrible. Lana comes out during the match. People were a little disappointed that Lana didn't go through the table. But then later on, Nia Jax cuts a promo and says that she's going to be taking on Lana. And she even thinks that she's going to ruin or end Lana's career. At the same point, they're doing this storyline that nobody wants Lana on the team. And you have Peyton Royce actually say some words about it. And in a pre-recorded segment, Nia Jax has a match with Lana, beats her like this, and then lo and behold, Lana gets put through a table for the 7th time. Now, I am one of the few people that have been saying this since day one. If Lana, when she's no longer working for WWE, if Lana goes back and says that she absolutely hated all of everything that was going on, then I'll turn around and say that WWE was taking all this stuff out on her because of the comments, Miro and everything else. But, you know, when you support someone, you sometimes see little things that you wouldn't normally pay attention to if it's just somebody that you're just seeing, you're watching, but you don't actually see. And I know Mish agrees with me on this as well. I just get this vibe that Lana is just having fun. I think Lana realizes that no matter how much she is trained, that she's not extremely talented in the ring, or she's not on the level of a lot of other women. And because of that, you know, it just doesn't seem like she's, you know, going to be able to put together like a 10, 12-minute match with someone. Maybe she does. There's still time. But I think she has realized that she could do some things. She could do a hell of a lot more than I can. She could do some things and not embarrass herself. She's decent in the ring, but they are using her in different ways. Look at Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss, she's had the history of concussions. She's a very small girl. She's had some injury issues. And WWE's found a way to use her almost on a weekly basis where she doesn't have to go in the ring like she used to. Now, suddenly, remember the scenic route I was talking about? Now, suddenly, after weeks, Lexi, why are you doing this? Lexi. And then she freaks out because Lexi's got the eyes. It's like the Incredible Hulk. Don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. You know, so it's the Alexa Bliss version would be like, stop annoying me, bitch. You won't like me if you keep annoying me. And then she's got the red eyes. So that's basically the Incredible Hulk. Instead of making Alexa Bliss angry, you're getting her annoyed. Bitch, leave me the fuck alone. Shut up. Go drink your coffee. Go find a new mug. Go glue the old mug back together. You know, Alexa Bliss is like the Incredible Hulk. But after all these weeks, now Nikki Cross suddenly cares again. Scenic route, storyline. It is what it is. You know, seriously, don't make me annoyed. You won't like me when I'm annoyed. So, but she can't obviously hulk up and break out with all the muscles. So instead, you know, the only thing that really like bulks up is the tongue. What does The Rock used to say? The tongue, the tongue, the tongue, the tongue, the tongue, the tongue, the tongue. I'm always going to leave you with this whenever we talk about the tongue, the tongue, the tongue. Lexi Laffy Taffy. They should start selling that. And by the way, Nia Jax has a match with Lana tonight. Why wasn't it a tables match? Just saying. You know, Lana announces they're going to have a match, and the referee announces it's going to be a tables match. Why didn't they do that? So anyway, Elias takes on Jeff Hardy, guitar in a pole match. Oh, bless those websites and podcasters out there that are putting up pictures of Vince Russo. Oh, it's a Vince Russo idea. It's so stupid. They're so stupid. This and that. And yes, maybe Vince Russo was responsible for this one between Jeff Jarrett and Steve Blackman in 1998. But, and I'll say it here, the goofs online that are using Vince Russo references, I guess they forgot about this. Guitar and a ladder on the was that 2 years ago? You forget Elias was in I guess they forgot about Elias taking on Jason Jordan with a guitar and a pole as well. Tonight was Elias's third guitar and a pole match. I come prepared. If I'm going to throw my darts, I'm going to make sure I got sharp points on them. I mean, you see all these goofs all week talking about the Jeff Hardy Elias match, talking about the Vince Russo and what a horrible, you know, this is the third time Elias has a match like this. Where the fuck were all of you during that time? Doing this? Or doing this? Because it's too small. You'd be doing this. Seriously. This is what it would look like. It'd be like this. Goofs. Match was not bad. Jeff Hardy gets the guitar, smashes it over Elias. Elias now I think is 1-2. He defeated Lashley. He lost to Jason Jordan, I believe, and he lost to Jeff Hardy. So yeah, so that is the third guitar on a pole match that Elias has had. What else am I missing today? What else? Oh, Bobby Lashley beating R-Truth. R-Truth comes to the ring, and R-Truth doesn't realize that he's facing Lashley, you know, and he's like, no, I came to the ring. I was going to get my water bottle autographed by, was it Bobby Boucher? I have never heard of Bobby Boucher. Boucher, Pussycat. What was that? Remember the little bird from Tom and Jerry? Remember, I loved that episode, that little duckling. Touche, Pussycat. And then you would stick the needle in Tom's ass. My favorite cartoon of all time, other than Beavis and Butthead, was Tom and Jerry, only when Tom would get something where he would like put his hand and he'd go, ah! I can't do it now. It's too late at night, but that's my favorite part. There's somebody on YouTube, I always wanted to send them money, but they did a best of every time that Tom screamed at the top of his lungs when he got like a nail in his foot or he got shot in the ass or, you know, a fork up his butt and just screaming at the top of his lungs. How he got on there, I have no idea. But Bobby Boucher, he thinks he's getting his water bottle autograph. Nah. Lashley comes out. He lays on the ground. Lashley, just pin me. But no, Lashley decides to beat him up a little bit. Beats him in under a minute. Then Drew Gulak comes out. Lashley has some fun there. He puts Gulak over R-Truth. 1, 2, 3. R-Truth is no longer the 24/7 champion. Gulak is your 24/7 champion. Things change. You've seen that video. I'm telling you, if you were Tom and Jerry fans and used to love that, go on YouTube and check that out. In fact, I honestly think during the 2 hours that we streamed tonight, the pre-recorded stuff, while it's going on, I'm probably going to go watch some Tom and Jerry, for real. But look, special request, everyone, please. I mean, it looks bad now because I don't have the right screen up right now, but you see in the right corner, I just flashed what says previously recorded. I thank everybody humbly for the super chats. It helps more than you know. Believe me, it helps more than you know. But I ask, while the pre-recorded footage is on, please don't send it. Because for those 2 hours, it's pre-recorded, and I don't want to miss anybody's super chat. So here's one time where I'm telling you, don't send it. But if you have any feedback, put it in the comment section, and I promise you, right at the start of Friday's show, I will get into everybody's feedback from tonight. So if there's any specific questions you want to ask, just post it in the comment section, and I will get into it first thing Friday. Definitely so. And before we wrap up Raw, shout out to Anthony Diaz again. Anthony, I think during the week I'll practice my Scarface a little bit, and I'll do an Angel Garza thing next week. So thank you, the 80s guy. Wow, we had a 90s guy. Now we got an 80s guy. And this is the 70s guy. Mike Awesome. I love this shirt. I was one of the few people that liked the Fat Chick Thriller. Was it the Fat Chick Thriller or something like that? Because, I used to listen to disco and hang out with a lot of fat chicks too. So Fat Chick Thriller. Yeah, that's what it was. And I like disco music. So, it was a little different. I mean, it was a little weird, thinking about Mike Awesome from the FMW days, and yes, ECW as well. And then he's doing the disco thing. But I always remember the match he had on the school bus. I thought that was pretty damn cool. So, one more, Ken, Terminated by DQ. Do I think Lana going through the announce table is as old as hearing grants from Iron Mike Sharp? Oh, my God. Oh, the grunts. No. You don't understand, everybody. You don't understand. When my uncle worked for the WWF in the 80s, and I got to go to Ridge Grove Arena and sit front row for those shows, I got to see Bob Backlund once in the Ridge Grove Arena. I saw him in the Garden, too, but Ridge Grove Arena, you used to get like Baron Mikel Cicluna, Jose Luis Rivera. You get a lot of it. Sometimes you get treated. You get Ivan Koloff, the Wild Samoans. You get Snuka. One time we got Andre. Thank you. But I am Mike Sharp all over those fucking cards. And you don't know what it's like to be a little kid sitting next to your grandma and you're trying to take pictures. And back then we had the 110 cameras, the big flat ones or whatever. And if this was a camera, I'd be taking pictures like a little kid, and Iron Mike Sharp would be outside the ring, and like he gets beat up and he goes outside the ring, and the referee's trying to get him outside the ring. Imagine me as a little kid trying to take a picture of him, and he's right in front of me. And as I'm taking a picture, he's like, no. Freak the fuck out. You have no idea how loud. I swear to God, if we had cell phones back then, I would have recorded that. That could have been my wake-up alarm. I'd be sleeping like a baby. I'd be like, no. Be like me and him in the ring. Seriously, that guy was annoying. Oh, my God. It was so annoying, But Khan, Killer Khan was cool, though. Killer Khan, he would be loud and yelling too, but it was a cool one. Killer Khan always felt like you was stepping on his bare feet. Like the way he would like yelp and stuff like that, it would feel like you took like a piece of his, like, you know, the hair in the back of your neck, if you pull one out, like for some reason they're uber sensitive, they really hurt. Like every time he yelped, it felt like somebody was doing something to him. Maybe like Tom and Jerry, like they were putting a pitchfork up his ass and stuff like this. So, but great memories as a kid. Great memories as a kid. So in the back, you know, we got the Lucha House Party, gets a little intimidated by Jordan Omagbahim. I remember his name now. I don't have to look at notes. Then there's a point where R-Truth, he lost the title. He sees the Hurt Business in the back, and he goes the other way, and the Hurt Business like, I got your bottle. We autographed your bottle, and they threw the bottle at him. I thought that was pretty funny. Hurt Business are great. They are really doing a great job. They're doing a great job. I mean, and it's not about them just all being black or anything like that. They just come off as cool, impressive, classy, intimidating, strong, confident, you know, ballsy. I mean, it's just everything you would probably want in a person. You know, I enjoy it. I enjoyed the interaction between them and the New Day. Obviously, they need the New Day to feud with someone. And yes, we still have Survivor Series, but they're planting the seed now of a possible feud between the Hurt Business and the New Day, taking some big verbal shots at each other, talking about Kofi losing in 8 seconds. You know, when MVP talked about how that was a very emotional moment, that he was really happy for Kofi. You know, there's that infamous video of MVP and Shad Gaspard, God rest his soul. They were in a bar, and I played it, I think, on one of the shows. And when Kofi won the title, they looked at each other, tears in their eyes, hugged each other. Very, very powerful, emotional moment. So, you know, some of what was said tonight is very genuine. Obviously, you know, because they're doing a feud, they got to take some shots. So MVP brings up Kofi losing to Brock in 8 seconds, and Kofi and Xavier Woods bring up that Lashley only pretty much lasted 8 seconds whenever he would, you know, suki with Lana. And it was just funny to see Lashley doesn't get offended at anything anymore. And because they try to portray that he can't hang in the bedroom with Lana, you know, he's looking at MVP, he's like, did you hear what they said? But it was funny, but it was meant to be that. So Cedric Alexander, you know, and Shelton Benjamin get the win today over the New Day. Non-title match, but it's the usual formula. You know, the contenders win the non-title match to make it look like, you know, and any time they could defeat, you know, the tag champs for the belts. They did that with the Lucha House Party on SmackDown. They did that with other teams. They did that even with that group that is no longer on TV. Remember, you know, the one that supported Trump that time? I can't remember his name right now, but you know what I'm talking about. You know, they all had, Suki. I always say that because when I told you, when I used to go to massage parlors back in the day, and you go to the Chinese massage parlors in College Point, and there's still some of them still around. You know, I read on the news. I don't go there anymore. But, you know, after you get your massage, they would sometimes say, like, you want Suki? And, you know, pretty much, you know, I think you could figure out what that means. You know, you want Suki? So New Day losing the match, trying to plant the seed that, you know, Hurt Business could possibly contend for the titles. And that'll probably be the next feud. So we will see what happens. Forgotten Sons of Bitches. That's right. They were so forgotten, I forgot their name. I forgot the Forgotten Sons of Bitches. So anyway. What else? I'm looking. I think that's pretty much it. We already got into everything. We already talked about Ricochet and Tucker and Drew McIntyre. You know, in the end, he takes on Miz and Morrison. I thought the match was fine. The only part of the match that I didn't like at all and I know it's nitpicking a little bit, but there was one point in the match where where Drew McIntyre, I think like power bombs the Miz or something, and Drew McIntyre like rolls over and goes for the pin attempt. And Morrison obviously has got to break up the pin attempt. I'm sure you all remember this. Morrison goes to break the pin attempt. And Morrison is right next to Drew and Miz. He decides to do a backflip. And although it looked really, really cool, and I couldn't do that even if I was going into a pool, I'm like, if you're going to break the count, you kick him in the head, you kick him in the back, you know, you elbow the person. He does a freaking backflip. And it's like, you know, right away I'm saying to myself, with all due respect, I don't even think AEW wrestlers would do that. And they're more known for the flippy. I mean, Morrison is a tremendous athlete, and I have been one of the ones that have been disappointed in how WWE has used him in the ring. But I saw that and I was like, eh. But in the end, Drew McIntyre hits the Claymore on Miz, gets the win, and then Randy Orton hits him with the RKO out of nowhere. And as I said earlier, right before we go off the air, and it goes off the air. So, you know, overall, not a bad Raw, but not a great Raw either. You know, the Firefly Funhouse segment was funny, where they started cursing a little bit, you know, especially, you know, Abby the Witch. Even, I think, didn't Alexa Bliss even say, like, fuck you, Randy, or you motherfucker, or something like that? Oh, I know what it was. Alexa Bliss had the tongue come out. And then they showed Bray Wyatt, and Bray Wyatt's like, holy shit, and they censored it. But, you know, obviously they're now bringing up the match that Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt had, where Randy Orton set the house on fire. And ultimately that will somehow work into a feud. But we got Survivor Series, so I don't know what they're going to do. But anyway, before I go, because remember, we got 2 hours in the books that you haven't seen yet, which means this show tonight is going to be about 3 hours and 40 minutes. You know, my apologies to everyone who complains about a little bit of a longer match, but, you know, Mish and I had some great convo yesterday. For those live, unfortunately, you won't be able to fast forward it, but on the archive, if you feel the, you know, the conversation about WWE and Twitch and everything is a little long, then just put it on the faster speed, like 1 1/4 or whatever it is. So, but look, Survivor Series, I'm seeing more and more a lot of people say, like, you know, there should be something up for grabs. And I mentioned this last week a little bit, I think on Friday, but I'll say it again here. They don't have the bragging rights pay-per-view anymore. So bragging rights, you know, work to a certain degree, but, you know, it's not really just the competition of it. There's got to be something else. And I thought what I said last week was a pretty good idea, that almost like the All-Star game in baseball, they don't really do it anymore, so to speak, but the All-Star game, they used to put up for grabs who would be the home team or have the advantage in the World Series. What I think you could do something as simple is that whoever wins the Survivor Series match, and the problem is you got to somehow do the women as well, and this is why it doesn't work, so to speak, my original format, but you could do something as simple that whoever wins, you know, like the men's Survivor Series team gets the first pick in the draft next year. Easy. So if they have Team SmackDown win, you know that next year when the draft starts, Team SmackDown or SmackDown will have the number 1 pick. You know, the problem is you'll have women out there, well, what about the women? How come the women doesn't factor in it? And then you got to figure out, what do you do about the women's side? So maybe you have to come up with a different stipulation on the women's side. Maybe, you know, the surviving members of a team get their opportunity of a title shot of their choice. And maybe if you have 2 remaining survivors, they all want to take on the women's champion, you do a 3-way. Plain and simple. So, or as James says, whoever wins gets a cookie. Cookies are good. I love cookies, man. So, yeah, cookies are always good. And I don't think he's talking about the chocolate chip kind. Before I go on the live side, I want to just remind everyone that we have, besides the election tomorrow, we have AEW Dark going down. They have, I think, 15 matches. Let me see if there's anything noteworthy. 5 against VSK, don't really care. 4, Colt Cabana, and 10 versus Sean Dean, Cesar Bonani, and Fuego del Sol. Okay. Butcher and the Blade versus, and with the Bunny versus Jersey Muscle. Okay. All right. I kind of like that. I mean, we know the outcomes, but still, it's cool to see some people that normally don't get an opportunity. Chaos Project versus Private Party. D3 versus Will Hobbs. Darby Allin versus BS HB King. Dave Dutra versus Ricky Starks. Lee Johnson versus Sammy Guevara. Okay. Layla Hirsch and Elena Black versus Red Velvet and Brandy Rhodes. Interesting. Jurassic Express versus Danny Limelight and Casey Navarro. Frankie Kazarian versus Ryzen. Sean Maluta and Alex Chamberlain versus Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Aaron Solo and Angel Fashion versus Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Lady Tampa. Oh, okay. Lady Tampa versus Kylan King. All right. Okay. I could go for that. And Evil Uno and Stu Grayson versus Baron Black and Nick Comoroto. So, all right, everybody. I am going to jet on the live side. Again, I ask you, please, I appreciate especially the super chats. They help a lot. But, I would not post it while the pre-record is on because I don't want to stop the show to answer it. So like I said, if you have any specific questions that come out of this or what I talked about already, just post it in the comment section. And I promise you, anybody that posts in the comment section between tonight and Friday afternoon, I will bring it up first thing on Friday. So that's pretty much it. So everyone, before I go, I just once again just wanted to remind everyone of, that the tongue. But all right, enough of that. So without further ado, I give you the show that we recorded yesterday. Again, we got in about 4 or 5 topics. So I hope you enjoy it. All the best, my friend, and everybody stay safe, especially with what's coming up tomorrow. I'm very concerned, but, it is what it is, and, we just hope for the best. So everyone take care. I give you now the video from yesterday. Enjoy. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I know everyone out there is going to be watching this Monday night, but as you can see, I can't see the time yet in the background. It is currently Sunday, November 1st, 2020, about 11:23 p.m. I am here with Mish, and we are recording a part, maybe a bigger part of Breakfast Soup Raw Sunday night. For the simple reason, if you could see Mish's background, the flag is packed up, and my friend is going to be in the process of moving. So he is very, very smart. He is going on the road Monday night, a day before the election. So this way he is away from all those major highways, could end up getting blocked off with protests and riots. And by the way, Mish, are you ready for Tuesday night with this election?
Man, I don't know if ready is a word to use. It's been absolute pandemonium all over the place. I mean, from horrible, accidents happening over there in the Carolinas with pepper spraying voters and just the backlash of supposedly people in Texas saying that they were going to gun down Biden if he dares do a speech or anything down there. So it's been kind of crazy. And even still out here in PA, when we were going out, I think it was yesterday, we were literally just bombarded by just traffic, all waving Trump signs all over the place because Trump was all over PA yesterday. So it's been kind of wild. It's been a little bit surreal, I got to be honest. And ready? Man, I don't know if I'm ready for this shit. I don't know if Asuka's ready for this shit. So,
I'll tell you this much. You know, I'm still not sure if I'm voting or not. One thing I made certain this year, no one is going to force me to vote. No one is going to guilt me into voting a certain way. No one is going to threaten me to vote in a certain way. No one is going to try to convince me why I should vote a certain way. You know, the thing that really disturbs me, and I mentioned this on Friday, is that there are so many people out there that, and this is not in defense of Trump, but there's so many people out there that will say that Trump is disgusting, he's got a bad attitude, bad behavior, he's just a real asshole. And meanwhile, if you even incline that you might vote for him, those very same people who despise his behavior act the same way or even worse. You see college campuses that insist on everybody free speech and everybody this and everybody that, but if it's speech they don't like, they try to not only censor you, but intimidate you, scare you. No one is going to do that. And I'll say this. Whatever the outcome is Tuesday, we got to accept it, whether you like it or not. And it's easier said than done. But for the people out there that live in the United States of America that says that this country is horrible, this country is going to be even worse later on, you know, my answer to all of you, hashtag end SARS, S-A-R-S. Look at what's going on in some other countries. And then you tell me that America is one of the worst countries in the world. I'm proud to be an American. And no one president, whether it's Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Kermit the Frog, not one president is going to change the culture of this country. You know, I was brought up from my father, and I've used this phrase so many times in the past. You don't justify bad behavior with other bad behavior. I saw the video of this vehicle on a highway, and it looks like maybe like a Trump vehicle cut it off, and and you saw these trucks with Trump's flags like slowing down a Biden bus, and everybody's all freaked out about it, and they're like, oh my God, they put him in a dangerous. And all kept ringing through my head was Maxine Waters a couple of years ago telling everyone, if you see them at a restaurant, if you see them pumping gas, if you see them in a store, make sure you tell them they're not welcome. Right. It's not right on either side. And me, I will do what I can to make my surroundings better. I show love to Mish. I show love to everyone out there, whether you're black, white, straight, or gay. No one person is going to dictate this country. And I'll say one last thing in closing. As I said before, my father taught me you don't justify bad behavior with other bad behavior. And sometimes when someone is an asshole, when someone is a fraud, when someone is a fake, when someone is a miserable, miserable person, you know, if the best way to counter that is the opposite. We got to show the world that we are better. You know, you want to protest bad cops, I'm all for it. I think every cop in this country should have a body cam, and that will resolve a decent amount of what's going on. You know, the unknown and people trying to come to their own conclusions. But we can only, you see my profile on Twitter, I can't change the past, but maybe I could change the future a little bit, turn chicken shit into chicken salad, and, you know, just try to, you know, be a better person. And that's not just a catchphrase, that should be a way of life for a lot of people out there. So I am very worried what's going to happen Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after the election. But my gut feeling, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but my gut feeling is that Trump is going to win in a landslide. They're going to realize that, you know, the news media, every outlet out there that has been doing everything they possibly can for 4 years to get Trump out of office, you're going to realize that, you know, that they all, you know, tried to make this so bad that people like, look, it's not even worth voting. It's not even worth this. And what I think is going to happen is, since you can't use the Russia excuse again as to why Trump won, remember the two words, voter suppression. That is going to be the new narrative if Trump is put back in office. They're going to claim that the reason why Trump won was because there was voter suppression, even though we'll probably have the biggest turnout by mail or in person in the history of our country, but they're still going to say that voter suppression is the reason why he got put in office. As of right now, I'm not voting for anybody.
I will say this. I mean, regardless of it being voter suppression or anything like that, there has been a lot of failures with the mail-in ballots. I'm seeing stories left and right of people crossing the country just so that they can go home and vote from wherever they are, college, different jobs, stuff like that, because apparently they're mail-in ballots. I mean, I think there was a few, famous people too that mailed in their ballot a while ago and it never went through.
How do you know it didn't go through?
I don't know. They were informed that it never went through. You can check up on your ballots. That's why.
No, I know, but most people don't know that they can do that. But here's the thing.
That's horrible. That's even worse. If you know that you can check it and people don't know that they can check it, then you really have you have to question the system that's been put in place on how viable it is.
Listen, what's going on in my state right now in New York are people starting to realize, as insane as this sounds, if you just think about it for a minute, it now all falls into place. That, New York has had some of the best numbers as far as coronavirus in months and months and months, yet restaurants are still only 25% allowed. And not only that, I know a few restaurants that can't even have indoor dining because of all these crazy, changes that they have to do on the inside of their building, and they're getting no subsidies from the government. People are starting to realize that a disease, and I want to make this perfectly clear, a disease that they now have a cure rate of like 80, the death rate is 85% less than before. And that 99.9% of people under a certain age can be cured by this, under 50 or 60. And even when you're 70, like the cure rate is like 92 or whatever it is. And people are starting to realize that they still made this sound like the ultimate deadly disease as a reason to push mail-in balloting, as a reason to push getting people who would never turn out on November 3rd. It's cold, I don't feel like it, there's no chance of this person winning. That if you have 3 months advance start, that even if you never voted in your life and the thing comes in the mail, what's the big deal? I'll sign it, Biden, put it in the mail, that's it, it's done. It's just like mailing anything else. So they used the pandemic as a reason to get a 3-month head start on both sides. On both sides, a 3-month head start. Tell me, in the last 3 months, every single person that is watching this right now, and again, I'm not pro-Trump or pro-Biden right now, but I want to just make one point. In the last 3 months, how many of you out there have been in your house the entire time? Didn't go to the grocery store, didn't go to the bank, didn't go to the post office, didn't go see a friend, didn't go see a family member. So you mean to tell me in the last 3 months that, I can't go to an election area because of coronavirus? Does that make sense? So they have used this pandemic as a reason as to why there should be advanced ballot or ballot boxes or drop boxes. If you feel it's too risky to go into the election, all right, fine. Then you request the ballot.
On this one, I'm a big proponent of, if you're going to vote in person. I mean, unless you're military, unless you're disabled, unless you're, the elderly, where it's literally painful for these people to make it anywhere. Unless you have a certain handicap or a situation where there's no possible way that you can easily make it to the poll, I think it's absolute laziness that people don't go to their polls. Yeah. You're literally preaching to the choir on this one. With that said, though, since that option has been introduced 3 months ago, the reality is it's already been proven to not be perfect. It's already proven fallible. there are votes where they haven't gone in, and when people check on those votes, they literally tell them, we don't have your vote. So in that scenario, while they're trying to introduce something new, whether it's because of lazy people or whether it's because they're trying to protect people against COVID, whatever the reasoning may be, they're already proving the fact that this method is not working as accurately as they wanted it to.
I'm just really, really concerned as to what is going to go down. But as far as this country, if you really are against hatred, then don't do the same thing. If you're against Trump's attitude, then don't do the same thing. If you're against socialism, then you gotta, people need to really understand, you gotta vote for someone because you think that person is going to help improve your life for the next 4 years. I understand we got to worry about other countries, and we got to worry about our neighbors in different states, and we got to worry about victims and other groups, and I totally get that. But at the end of the day, I got to worry about me. I got to worry about her. I got to worry about my parents. I got to worry about my inner circle. And I have to ask myself, which person is going to give me a better opportunity to pay off my bills? That's not going to have my taxes 90%. We already talked about, with Biden with the 400% tax. Look, that may end up being great. My fear is, and show me a time in our entire history of our country where taxes have gone up, skyrocketed for corporations, and they didn't pass it down on regular people. People are bringing up gas prices today because of gas price, because of everything about America having more energy independent. Gas prices right now are $2 a gallon instead of $4.50 a gallon at times under our other price. So I have to weigh everything together and say which person is going to benefit me for the next 4 years. And honestly, I don't know. I don't know because neither candidate is a good candidate, in my opinion, but I have to worry about me and I have to worry about my family. And, that's what it comes down to, because unfortunately, like I say all the time, oh my God, I got 200 likes on Twitter. Guess what? Here's a newsflash. Those people on Twitter aren't paying your bills. Those people on Twitter are not, taking care of, your inner circle at home. You have to do it for yourself. And I'm just very, very worried. But all I know is that, I try to make my, area a better place, just trying to lead by example, to try to be genuine and authentic, say what's on my mind. But, it's just, I will not have, no matter who I like or who I don't, I'm not going to have anybody guilt me into doing something or not doing something. I'm not going to have anybody convince me one way or the other. I have to think for myself. And that's what I think is the problem. I mean, my God, when I see what's going on leading up to Tuesday, but everyone here, that this is going to affect, my thoughts and prayers are with all of you. Stay safe. And never let anybody tell you, that you should do or not should do something. It's, you got to think for yourself and make the choice. And whatever choice you make, you want to keep it private, by all means. If you want to tell the world, by all means. But, take responsibility for your own actions instead of just blaming everybody else for your actions. I don't blame anybody but myself for anything that I do, good or bad, Right. So, but anyway.
But speaking of people getting paid.
Yeah. Oh, my God. My God.
People on Twitch getting paid, apparently, or not getting paid.
Everybody is looking forward to this. And look, Mish and I don't BS. We might exaggerate a little here and there, but, we don't know where this conversation is going to go. But I could tell from Mish's tweets and my views on it, like I said on Friday, this is a fence. I am on this side, and apparently Mish is on this side. And tonight, we clash. For all of you...
true. We've had a few clashes over the years, and I think
Oh,
they've all
yeah.
been.
Let me tell you something. I'm still sick, but like Steve Austin, look, I almost broke that would have been a horrible video. Because I invested in one of these expensive Logic. See, look, now I'm dropping everything. But I invested in one of these expensive Logitechs so I can ultimately use this for like 3 different computers at the same time. But I have literally 3 bottles of Topo Chico that I'm going to be drinking during this episode. But like I said, for everybody that is checking this out on Monday, not everything is pre-recorded. If you're watching this, you've already seen me live for a few minutes. I am just streaming for everyone the conversation that Mish and I were going to have about the election and about Twitch and Paige and things like that. And then once our discussion is done, you'll go right back to me live, and we'll wrap up Monday's show with Raw recap and a few other things. But look, not gonna repeat everything that I had mentioned on Friday, but a long story short, WWE has told their wrestlers, take down the Twitch, take down the Patreon, take down a lot of third media outlets. Mia Yim, AJ Styles, Paige, couple of names that, Elias had his Patreon, and, he was trying to promote his music and this and that. I'd like to open up with one question to you. Because the person that I have said on Friday that I think is going to be the person, when we Google about this 5 years from now, 10 years from now, wherever this ends up, I think the person responsible for whatever happens is not Andrew Yang. I think the most important person in this whole situation with third party is Paige. And she is the one most outspoken. And
she's going to be the one that fucks it over for everybody, in my opinion.
Well,
she's actually doing the worst possible thing that she could do. She is the worst voice for independent contractors under WWE to be able to continue running through Twitch.
Well, she's not pushing for unionization. She is talking to those type of attorneys to see what leverage WWE has against us. So here's what it comes down to, everyone. I am in complete favor of those stars twitching, Patreon, and other things. Okay, I'm totally in favor with it.
Just Twitch and Patreon. Don't say other things, because I can rebuttal against that in a minute. But just Twitch and Patreon are the only 2 that have been affected.
Okay, so I'm in favor of Twitch and Patreon. The reason why I have no problem with Cameo is because WWE is doing their own version of it. They're charging $125 for a 2-minute conversation, and the wrestlers are getting comparable of what they would have received on Cameo. So I totally get that.
That is very important. That is very important, because people tried to throw Cameo on the bus.
Can't throw Cameo in there. But I ask you this. I open up with this, because I am in total support of Paige and AJ and Miriam and everybody else staying on Twitch. So here's my first question to you. I don't have no notes. I'm just talking to you one-on-one.
All right.
Paige is not on TV right now. Paige is home. Yep. Paige likes to play video games.
Fantastic.
Tell me, Paige puts on a video game, puts on a headset, and starts talking to people who want to follow her on Twitch. And she's under her own real name.
Yep.
Tell me where the wrestling element is in that.
There's no wrestling element.
So why can't she do it?
This isn't a wrestling issue. This is an entertainment issue.
Right.
This is a live streaming platform issue.
Right.
WWE doesn't have a problem with Paige playing video games. Quite the contrary.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that WWE and Twitch are in direct competition of one another. WWE has been partnered with YouTube since June 22nd, 2010. YouTube is the second largest website on the entire internet, Google being the first. Twitch is the 34th, as of yesterday, largest website on the earth. WWE Network and WWE have it in their contract. Like, I looked at Stephanie McMahon's contract. And basically, I mean, I can read off the actual contract itself, but I'll just run it down quickly. Basically, anything that Paige or Saraya does outside of WWE cannot be in direct competition with WWE.
Oh, okay.
WWE doesn't have a problem with her streaming. They have a problem with the company she's streaming for.
So here is my question to you again. Is Paige an employee of WWE?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She's still getting paid.
She's an independent contractor. She's 1099.
Sure.
So when you're a 1099, you're not an employee of the company because there are state laws that you are required to carry workers' compensation, medical insurance, disability coverage.
That's the argument of the independent contractor below.
But that's just a fact.
No. I'm agreeing with you on this one, but you got to hear why. Okay, I totally agree that the independent contractor status with WWE has been abused for years. You'll never find anybody out there that'll say otherwise. The issue is that just because she's an independent contractor, let's say this was wrestling, does that mean that Paige can wrestle for AEW and WWE if she was still wrestling? No, of course not, because it's in direct competition of WWE. Same thing with the Twitch platform. WWE has a partnership with YouTube, and they run their own streaming services on the network.
Right, but Paige is just playing video games.
They have and they have that with Up, Down, Down, which is also through YouTube and the WWE network. They also have the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast. They have Corey Graves and Carmella, and they have the Drew and A questionnaire thing that he's doing with John Edwards lately. Edge and Christian. There's a lot of different talents that work on the live streaming part of WWE. Paige working for Twitch is literally working for the competitor of YouTube, who is WWE partner in this.
Okay.
And that's the issue.
I have a question.
Since Paige couldn't go to AEW and do work over there while underneath a WWE independent contract, she couldn't be expected to do the same thing with Twitch underneath an independent contract.
When did WWE get in contract with YouTube?
2010, June 22nd.
Okay, so my question to you is this. Is it in under Paige's contract that she does any outside streaming, it has to be only through WWE and YouTube?
Yes.
Really? Where did it say that in the contract?
So underneath Stephanie McMahon's contract, based on October 7th, 2013, in the very first article of the contract, it says, during the term, the exclusive worldwide rights to wrestler/talent services, appearances, performances in the entertainment industry, not in wrestling, not in professional wrestling, not in the entertainment industry, without limiting the generality of the foregoing, such as worldwide rights, shall include without limitation the right to engage wrestlers' services, appearances, and or performances in those professional wrestling matches or designated by the promoter of those events, engagements, appearances, filmings, photography shoots, autograph signings, and other business and charitable events designated by WWE relating to professional wrestling or sports entertainment, whether or not staged before a live audience in a television broadcast studio, on location, or otherwise. All other events, engagements, appearances, filmings, photography shoots, autograph signings, and other businesses and charitable events that are not related to wrestling or in sports entertainment in connection with movies, films, commercials, product endorsements, videos, television programs, radio, magazines, books, theater, internet, and any other media in the entertainment industry, collectively other appearances.
Okay.
During this term. Okay. All right, go ahead.
No. You said wrestling and sports entertainment. Tell me where it has to do with playing a video game.
Because esports is on the same plane as a regular sport.
But Paige has nothing to do with esports.
Yeah, she does. If she's video gaming underneath Twitch, Twitch is one of the lead esports platforms.
But that's not in competition with WWE.
It is. Here, I'll actually give you another diagram here.
Right, but Paige is not promoting any sports. She's playing a video game. If she wants to play a fighting game with guns and ammo, that has nothing to do with WWE. WWE is, and let me say it like this: why would WWE limit their contract to just wrestling and sports entertainment?
She could be playing Tetris. It doesn't matter what game she's playing. She's playing it for Twitch.
She's getting paid by Twitch, or is she getting paid by her donors?
She's getting paid by Twitch and her donors, both.
How's she getting paid by Twitch?
Twitch pays 50% of all of her subs.
No, they
and
take 50%, and she keeps the other 50% for herself.
They take, however, whatever verbiage you want to use, it's the same thing.
Okay.
Twitch keeps 50% of all of her subs. That includes Twitch Prime. That also includes, what is it, that Twitch Ghost? I forgot the other one as well that produces less ads. Plus, they also take a percentage.
That's affiliates. She's not an affiliate.
For every, she's a partner. She's a partner. Yeah, she is. She has 100. Here's her stats right here. She has 150,000.
Big following doesn't make her a partner. She didn't. There's 3 different types of memberships on Twitch, and she's not an affiliate.
She gets paid by Prime. Yes, she's a partner.
Let me ask you this, to just stay on the same topic. You mentioned before that you wanted to focus just on Twitch and Patreon.
Right.
All right. So why would Patreon have to come down if Patreon is not affiliated with a sports company? That person,
it's because of what he was trying to do. When it comes to Elias, the fact that he was trying to use Patreon in order to fund his music and not go through WWE has to do in direct competition once again with WWE. WWE releases music. WWE has its own in-house music production, and they've released CDs and iTunes in the past.
His Patreon was also about his recovery and 10 questions and talking to him personally. All he's got to do is remove the music aspect of his Patreon, and he should be able to keep it, no?
Unless there's some other breach that we don't know about, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The only thing that I've seen with Elias that was in competition to WWE from his Patreon was directly dealing with his music. If they have problems with something else, it's not ever been made public.
See, this is what I get from this. How long has Twitch been around?
2000, I think it was 14 when Google lost Twitch to Amazon for $1 billion.
Okay. Google's part of YouTube, though.
Yes, that's why I said they lost it. There was a bidding war for Twitch at one point.
Right, but my point is, at the time WWE went into contract with YouTube, YouTube was a part of Google, and so was Twitch.
No, Twitch was its own thing before. Yeah,
no, but
Google
you said they
had
lost the lawsuit. They branched away from Google.
Not lawsuit, auction.
Oh, auction. But the point is, this is what it comes across to me. What comes across to me is similar to WWE very long time ago. You and I, we've been doing shows long enough that we remember this clearly. A lot of people won't remember this, may not have even been a wrestling fan yet, may have been too young. But when YouTube and websites started to become a regular thing, WWE frowned big time, frowned against the internet. Remember that? They despised the internet. They did not want any wrestlers to have a website. They did not want anybody on YouTube or social media or interacting with anyone. They were totally against it. Once they saw the money that could be made on commercials, advertising revenue, and everything else, then they did a 180 on it and they embraced it. Now they act like they were the creators of all of this. So my point is that you keep referencing in Stephanie's contract, and Stephanie is an employee of the company. She gets medical benefits, she gets workers' comp, disability, everything else. She also has a talent contract, which I understand that's what you're reading. But the thing is that WWE keeps referencing in the contract wrestling and sports entertainment. And the thing is that if someone wants to play a video game and wants to stream it on Patreon, which has no ties to EA or anything like that, or wants to do it on Twitch or do it on any new outlet out there, they focus wrestling and sports entertainment. Those people are operating under their personal names. They're playing video games that are not in competition with WWE.
Doesn't matter.
Why doesn't it matter?
Paige is working for AEW. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing.
No, AEW is a wrestling company, and WWE is World Wrestling Entertainment. It's not World Boxing
and WWE
Entertainment.
Network is a live streaming service, and Twitch is a live streaming service.
Right, I understand that, but
you're kind of missing it because that's the actual crux of this entire argument.
Right, but
Twitch and WWE are in direct competition with each other.
When did Up, Up, Down, Down start?
Off the top of my head, I want to say like 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
The thing is, wasn't Up, Up, Down, 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 or whatever, something like Xavier Woods was doing?
Yeah,
with the
it was
game.
something you
Okay,
do
my point is this, is that if someone is in their house on their own free time and they're not working and they're not doing something that clashes with wrestling and sports entertainment, where the person playing, is not, working for another wrestling company, but just decides they want to put the headset on and play fucking Monopoly. And then there's a whole bunch of people that like that person and wants to send, chips or money or whatever it is, and give money to that person. Tell me how someone playing at 3 o'clock in the morning on the privacy of their home, playing a game that has nothing to do with World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE has a right. If that's the case, WWE has a right to anything that anybody does 24/7, because anytime a camera is on, you could claim that it goes against WWE.
Here's the difference. Because I'm trying to hammer home the idea that you need to understand that Twitch is a live streaming competitor to WWE. I know you keep bringing it back to the wrestling, but it's not about the wrestling. WWE has grown as a company and has many hands in different ventures, from music to movies to television and streaming platforms. Don't forget, they tried their own streaming platform back in 2016, if everybody remember. Maybe it was even earlier than that. Maybe it was 2014, which was Tout, which failed miserably. They had a multi-year deal with Tout, and as soon as that deal was up, they bailed, got the fuck out of there, and that was the end of Tout. Nobody talked about Tout again unless it was to make fun of
How come YouTube didn't sue WWE for getting involved with Tout? Wouldn't that be in direct competition with YouTube?
That would be a YouTube issue. That would be a YouTube issue. Why WWE's issues with Tout and YouTube? I don't know that.
See, what I don't understand is I didn't see the words YouTube in any wrestler's contract, and they keep referencing wrestling and sports entertainment.
Internet. They use internet. We're talking about Stephanie McMahon's contract from 2013, which I believe is even pre-Tout. And this is just a gauge. I'm not using this as this is exactly Paige's contract. I'm using this as a legal gauge. It's at sec.gov. You can find the archives there yourself. Anybody can if you want to look for it. Stephanie McMahon's contract from 2013 is up there as a gauge as to how WWE writes their contracts. This wouldn't be put up there if WWE didn't want it there, and it is. And there are multiple parts in this contract in the very beginning, even in booking, which is Section 1, and Works, Section 2, intellectual properties, which talk about doing stuff in your own time on the internet. It's a variable source. Now, here's my other side to this, which people need to understand, because they think that WWE is picking on Paige, and they're not. Once again, if Paige was doing this for YouTube or for the WWE network, this wouldn't even be an issue. Paige, if Paige's platform and Mia Yim and AJ Styles were on YouTube doing this underneath WWE's banner, nobody would be saying anything. Nobody would say boo. This would have been a non-issue whatsoever. But the problem is, in this scenario, Twitch allows people to sign up to Twitch whenever they want. This is the negative side of it. This is the side that you'll probably agree with more than anything. The problem with Twitch, to WWE's eyes, is that any WWE superstar, any single person, can sign up to Twitch. And if they get a large enough following, they can apply for partnership. If they get a large enough following, they'll start making real money from donations, from bits, from subs. This is not the same way that YouTube does things. YouTube doesn't really have the same thing. They have super chats, they have advertisements, but the other stuff like subscriptions and stuff, those are all free through YouTube. Anybody can subscribe to your YouTube channel without paying anything. And granted, YouTube does have like YouTube Red or Prime or whatever the hell they call it now. I think they changed it from YouTube Red to something else, I'm sorry. But which removes the ads. For the most part, anybody can sub to a YouTube person or a YouTube channel. It doesn't take anything extra from that. With that, though, they're underneath the partnership of WWE. WWE stars are partnered underneath WWE's logo. With Twitch, WWE has no say-so what happens on Twitch. And while they're still under contract, they are representatives of WWE. They still work for the company. And I agree with people when they say that the independent contract status in WWE needs to be clarified. I completely agree with that. But underneath the statements that are made in Stephanie McMahon's contract as a base, in this scenario, Paige, Mia Yim, and AJ Styles are in direct competition with WWE.
How is Paige playing a board game, any type of arcade game? Tell me how that is in competition with...
Because of the company she's working for.
It doesn't make sense to me. If she's at 3 o'clock in the morning and she wants to socialize, then how come they have? Then how come they haven't insisted on taking people's PayPal donations?
If Paige was working for McDonald's, she could not go to Burger King and moonlight for them. It is a direct conflict of McDonald's interests. Twitch is a direct conflict of WWE's interests. People think that WWE is only a wrestling company. This hasn't been true in years.
I understand that, but the contract specifically focuses on wrestling and sports entertainment.
No, it does not. It focuses on all entertainment.
Does WWE get a cut? Does WWE get a cut when somebody who has a current contract with them appears on a game show? Or appears on a television show, or is on a... why not?
Why don't I know? Because I don't know the specifics.
No, I'm saying they don't. But that same TV show or game show could be streaming on Twitch. How come WWE's not insisting on a cut of that?
They might. If you're talking about somebody restreaming something, that's different. That's totally different because then it's the restreamer that's streaming WWE's content through Twitch. If anything, they could get hit with a copyright strike at best. But if you're talking about a WWE talent performing new and live interactions on a direct competitor of WWE, that goes against WWE's interests and it's a competitor.
You know why I totally disagree with you? Because whoever you want to bring up, from AJ Styles to Paige to anybody you want to bring up, their contract they don't have a contract with YouTube. They're not working for YouTube. They're working for WWE. And what you're saying is, and I hope people out there, if you don't understand this term, Google it. But what you're saying is that somewhere in WWE's contract, they say they have the right to sub-produce someone with another company. And I don't think there is a sub-producer agreement in the contract. For people that don't know what that is, I'll give you an example because I work in insurance. All right, here's a good example. About 10 years ago, my father got involved in a piece of property. They gutted a house. They were going to rebuild it, turn it into like a 6-family house, and they were going to flip it. They were going to sell it. And what happened was there was a contractor that was working on the house doing electrical work and stuff like that, and somebody got hurt on the job. Now what happened was one of the workers slipped, fell, and his hand fell on a handsaw, sliced his hand almost in two, almost lost half his hand. Sued everybody that was involved for millions and millions of dollars. What ends up happening is that my father had hired an electrical company to do the wiring work in the house. Let's just call it ABC Electric. So my father's contract was between him and ABC Electric, nobody else. What ABC Electric decided to do on their own dime was they went and hired an outside electrical company to have a couple of people come in and do some of the work. And because they obviously wanted to expand and do other things, the point is that the person that got hurt had nothing to do with ABC Electric. My father didn't hire that person that got hurt. My father hired ABC Electric. They went and hired outside electricians to work on a house without my father knowing. My point is that if any wrestler, Paige or anybody else, signs a contract with WWE and talks about entertainment and this and that, and then WWE then goes ahead and signs an agreement to work with YouTube, or signs an agreement to work with Twitch, or signs an agreement to work with Patreon, or signs an agreement to work with blah, 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 that hasn't even been in existence yet, that person, Paige, or anyone else, has a contract with WWE. They don't have a contract with YouTube. They don't have a contract with any of these other companies. And the way you resolve it, because you and I have patrons. We know the deal. How much does Patreon pay us? How much does Patreon pay us? Nothing. Nothing. What they do is everybody that subscribes, Patreon takes a cut.
Right.
They don't pay us. So if you're on donation only, you're not getting paid from Twitch. If she does advertising revenue,
completely different than a WWE contract. This is what I'm saying. This is what you need to understand, which you're totally missing. Just because Twitch wasn't around perhaps when Paige originally signed her contract, or however you want to look at this, doesn't mean that her contract hasn't had an addendum. It doesn't mean that her contract hasn't changed. It doesn't mean that because WWE is now in competition with Twitch, that all of a sudden, because Paige was around before that, she gets grandfathered in and gets to do whatever the fuck she wants. That's not how business works. That's not how companies work. And that's not how competition works. That's why, for the longest time, WWE wrestlers couldn't work for alternate companies at the same time while working for WWE, even though they were independent contractors, even to the point that more recently, the NXT UK went through the same kind of garbage when they were signed underneath WWE contracts, and they were having issues because they wanted to work for local promotions in order to keep their paydays up. Even still, further to that point, that there was a 90-day no-compete clause added to many of these contracts because WWE didn't want them jumping ship like they did back during the Monday Night Wars. There are addendums to these contracts in order to protect WWE against competition. Since WWE is now a streaming platform, and with the second largest website in the entire world, their focus is on their partnership and any competition that's going against them. When WWE when Paige and Mia and AJ can easily go underneath the WWE banner and do shows for WWE, who are constantly putting up new shows, it makes no sense that they're going to go to the competition and then act silly, like they just don't know any better, because all of a sudden WWE is like, hey, you can't work for them. Come work over here at YouTube, or come work for us.
None of that contract has anything to do with YouTube. If WWE wants to go into agreement with a streaming company, that's between WWE and a streaming company.
When they're mentioning internet and any and all media, that's what they're referring to.
This is what I personally think. I think that these wrestlers have been on Twitch for a while. They've been on Twitch for a while. And I personally think that when you saw Cameo explode and Twitch started to explode, you started to see, all of these people getting mad subscribers, like big time subscribe numbers. And you start seeing the amount of revenues being made. WWE realized, this is a business that we missed the ball on. Problem is that World Wrestling Entertainment is not a streaming company for entertainment for anything other than wrestling or what they produce. They don't own the rights to the video games. They don't own the rights to a football game. They don't own the rights to a boxing game. They don't own the rights to Monopoly. They don't own the rights to the Simpsons car race. So,
dude, Paige was on her channel literally just dancing in a circle for hours on that. If Paige didn't even pick up a video game, it wouldn't matter. It's the platform that's the issue.
Their contract has nothing to do
into a camera for 24 hours straight. It wouldn't matter. It's the platform.
You're foreseeing the future. Here's my point. when WWE made these contracts up, it's not open-ended that if some new form of technology comes out, and just because WWE wants to do the same thing, that immediately makes it competition, okay? Because again, you brought up Tout before. If they were in agreement with YouTube, they technically would be breaking their own contract because Tout would have been competition for YouTube. So you can't turn around and because a type of streaming entertainment or some type of outlet that comes out that WWE, it's not open-ended. That just says that if any future means of entertainment through a phone, through a computer, through whatever it is, that when you join up with us, any future that we have control of it. What if WWE did not want to stream video games on YouTube? You know, what if and here's another thing too. If she goes on there and is just talking about everyday life, all right, tell me how that's competition with WWE streaming a video game on YouTube. Maybe somebody wants to talk to someone like Saraya on real life issues about depression, about relationships, about makeup. All right, so you mean to tell me that now WWE,
because of the platform she's on, it doesn't matter what detail that you want to paint for this. It doesn't matter.
Then why is Patreon down?
Well, I told you, because that was an individual aspect with him working with the music, which is in direct competition.
Just take the music down. Then why? How come people just don't go on?
Why is it music now? That's what I'm saying. Unless there's something else that I don't know about.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Down. I absolutely agree. Elias should take the music down and then keep his Patreon on.
Right, let me ask you this. You can stream live on YouTube through your Patreon channel. So tell me why Paige cannot go to YouTube, like WWE says, and then have a Patreon channel, stream the YouTube feed on Patreon, and she could get all her memberships and donations and subscriptions and everything. Why can't she do that?
From WWE that they can't go to YouTube? Because I haven't heard that at all.
No. I'm saying if Paige starts streaming.
I understand that. If you're saying that she starts streaming through Patreon, why can't she do that? I have no idea why she wouldn't be able to stream on YouTube.
I personally think it's they're 1099, and 1099 there is limitations. Okay, I can understand in the talent agreement. The talent agreement focuses on wrestling and sports entertainment. Doesn't focus on makeup. Doesn't focus on real life issues, doesn't focus on relationships, doesn't focus on personal. Doesn't say 24/7, 365, anything you do in front of a live camera, you know, it has to be through us. That's a 1099. There's limitations. And none of those wrestlers, there's nothing in the contract that says by signing this contract, you agree. They have no ties with YouTube.
Yes, it's not named YouTube specifically. It's named internet. It's named other media. It's underneath legalese is the words that they use.
But it also puts in the same line sports and wrestling and sports entertainment.
WWE as promoter. They don't call it Saraya. They don't call it Stephanie. They say wrestler. They say promoter. They use these words in order to. It's just.
But Saraya at 3 o'clock in the morning talking real life issues is not a wrestler.
It is if you're doing it. Okay, what if she was doing this underneath AEW television?
That's different, but she's not, and she's not using Paige either. She's talking as Saraya.
Even if it's Saraya, why is it different?
Because
why would it be different?
She's not using. Wait a minute. It's the same. It's the same thing as the opposite. When Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were threatened lawsuit along with WCW when they first went to WCW in 1995 or 96, whatever it was, the big controversy was, wait a minute, you're doing the likeness of Razor Ramon, and wrestling fans get confused. That's the thing. You're confusing wrestlers into things. She is not on a wrestling company. She's not using Paige. She's not even dressing like Paige. She doesn't have the logo. She is Saraya, her real person.
So then why isn't she working for AEW right now? as Saraya, the person.
Because the contract says wrestling and sports entertainment. Her talking real life issues on a live feed is not wrestling or sports entertainment.
Industry as well, DT. You need to look at the contract a little bit closer.
I did look at the contract, and there's nothing about there's nothing about sub-producing, and it's not open-ended. It's not open-ended that if another media outlet takes off, if it's something through the phone, if it takes off, if it whatever it is, if the Ring doorbells, you could start doing the Q&A through a Ring doorbell. If that takes off, that it's open-ended, and WWE gets no. It's not open-ended like that.
It's underneath exclusivity rights of 5.1.
It's not open-ended. It's not open-ended.
4.5. Yeah, you need to look at this contract a little bit further, man.
It's a 10, but they're 1099. 1099 means that they're not an employee. They're an independent contractor. They agree not to do the same thing that WWE is doing. I get that. But the thing is, that's why they don't do AEW or indie shows. But the difference is that World Wrestling Entertainment is not World Makeup Entertainment. They're not World Restaurant Connoisseur Entertainment. They're not World Cooking Entertainment.
Undertaker's a real estate agent. Booker T runs a wrestling promotion of his own. Alexa Bliss has her stupid Uncool show. Carmella and Corey Graves have their own podcast. R-Truth has a game show. Miz and Maurice have their own TV show. Jericho, back when he was working with WWE, did Dancing with the Stars, ran his own radio show, movies like Jay and Silent Bob, and more. JBL was a news analyst while working with WWE and was an SVP of Northern Security. Sasha Banks just did The Mandalorian. WWE wrestlers and talent are allowed to do things underneath whatever is allowed by their contract or through WWE. It's not like these people just go out.
Exactly, but you just said it's open-ended.
With Twitch, they openly went out and did whatever they want. They did not ask permission. They did not find out.
Why would you need permission if you're 1099?
Because it's still it's still a competition to WWE. Twitch is competition.
I disagree. Paige talking about real-life issues at 3 o'clock in the morning is nowhere in competition to WWE.
Platform. Like I said, it doesn't matter what Paige or Saraya is doing. It really means nothing. It's the platform that she's on is in direct competition with WWE. Her physical platform.
That's between WWE and the platform then.
And the talent that they're paying that are underneath that platform. Absolutely. I totally agree. I don't think that this is WWE picking on Paige. I think that's a real misnomer of people thinking that WWE is picking on Paige and Mia Yim, and they're not. It has nothing to do with them. And that's what I keep trying to say, that if these people were doing this on YouTube, this would not be an issue at all.
Right.
But since they're not doing it on YouTube, wait. Since they're not doing it on YouTube and they're doing it for Twitch, it's WWE's issue with Twitch.
Okay.
Not
and on their contract, is Google or YouTube featured on their contract at all?
No, because it's not. It's not.
And WWE decided. So what you're saying is that it's okay for them to do movies, but if WWE decides, if WWE decides that they want to ink a deal and work with Paramount, now all of a sudden they can't do new movies anymore because it would be direct competition to their agreement with Paramount. Those wrestlers have an agreement, a 1099 agreement with World Wrestling Entertainment, not with Google and not with YouTube. If WWE realized that the big money to them,
99 contract for WWE, and they have in their contract that you cannot work for their competition. You can't work for their competition. Just because you want to slate it as just wrestling only, that's not what WWE is.
WWE is using YouTube as a platform, but they don't own the platform. They worked out an agreement with YouTube.
Itself? You're just thinking of YouTube. What about the WWE network itself?
That's different, but the WWE network did not have their own gaming area. And all right, WWE never had an outlet where these wrestlers could do what they were doing on Twitch. That's why they went to Twitch.
WWE network.
WWE Network never had a live stream where at 3 o'clock in the morning, if Soraya wants to put on her headphones and start chatting with everyone, and people are sending her donations on, and it's clear cut. It ain't like a yo throwing a toothpick. She's not pretending to be Scott Hall when Scott Hall was pretending to be Razor Ramon. She's not pretending to be Paige. She's not cutting her promos. She's not doing moves.
Look, I'm not going to throw this out here, but it was only a couple months ago that she was calling herself Paige on Twitch. So I mean,
that I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But the minute in your 1099, you're not an employee.
Bring that up.
You're not an employee. The whole reason.
The only thing that matters is the fact that the platform is against WWE. They are in competition. That's it. But
they don't own YouTube and they don't own Google. They worked out an agreement with Google and YouTube.
WWE Network. Even if you erase Google, erase YouTube from this entire argument, they are still in competition with WWE Network.
I absolutely disagree. WWE Network wasn't around in 2010.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, it does. Our contract was before the WWE Network. See, the reason why WWE created WWE Network, they remember when they did 24/7? That was pretty cool. But the thing is that they want their whole streaming service because of MLB and ESPN, whatever other things that they wanted to do their own version of it, and that's fine. But the thing is that they didn't offer certain things on their network that these wrestlers were doing on their own time. She's home. She's not working on camera right now. She's not doing anything on camera. So how is that confusing to the viewer?
More than 2.72 billion hours in the second quarter of 2019. More than 72% of all live hours watched, besting YouTube Live, Facebook Gaming, and Mixer at the time.
That's nice.
According to published reports.
Right.
Absolutely. And that's why they're competition.
Right. And so what you're saying, but
in 2014, way back in 2014, they accounted for 40% of all live streaming traffic in the U.S.
Who was?
And 1.8% Twitch.
Okay.
And 1.8% of all internet traffic, seconded only to Google, Netflix, and Apple. In 2017, it surpassed legacy network ESPN in audience size and live streamed content, more than ESPN Live, more than ESPN, WWE, and Major League Baseball combined. In 2020, the number of esports viewers worldwide has grown from 380 million to 589 million, according to the research firm's Newzoo.
Impressive.
There are absolutely reasons why WWE feels threatened.
Oh, yeah,
Twitch.
you nailed it. You nailed it.
With Twitch taking WWE stars under WWE contracts, WWE has a problem with that.
Right.
And if Paige and Mia Yim and AJ Styles want to work for WWE's competition, then they need to leave WWE in order.
Twitch is not competition for WWE.
They are absolutely.
Twitch is in competition with YouTube.
Twitch is in competition with WWE.
Talking at 3 o'clock in the morning about real life issues is not misconstrued with World Wrestling Entertainment. You go. I hope to God, Paige does not back down. And again, I said this Friday. It's easier for us to say it. You know, I love everybody out there who wanted to tell Miro what he should be doing with his future. Employment. It's easy for us to say it, but I wished that some of these stars would not have backed down, because I personally think that at one point WWE hated YouTube, hated the internet. Once they realized the amount of money that could be made, then they embraced it, pushed it, and now they act like they were a part of it all along. They got into an agreement with YouTube because they see the money that can be made. And
but that agreement was 2010.
Right.
We're not talking about
but it's a 1099. They're independent contractors. It's not, and that makes it that it's not an open-ended contract. You can't. Let me say it like this. Remember what I said before about my father hiring ABC Electric? Wait, my father hired
doesn't correlate.
No, my father hired an independent contractor to do work on his house. My father cannot stop ABC Electric to do the house next door. My father is not in competition with the person next door. If ABC Electric, all right, makes an additional agreement that while I'm building your house, I won't build anyone else's house. This way, all my attention is directed towards you. That's fine. But the point is, you can't turn around and say, well, what about stores? Oh, well, but, look at this. So we got the WWE contract is not open-ended where if a new form, look, we never ever envisioned Tout or that one that just set up Squib or whatever it is that set up and it went out of business. They thought that they nailed it with Tout and it did not work. Now Twitch took off, and now because Twitch took off, it's suddenly competition with WWE. Whether they had 10 viewers or 1 million viewers or 10 million viewers, it's still the same platform. It's just what it comes down to it is that WWE is overreaching, and a lot of these wrestlers are intimidated that if they, stick with
It's written in their contract. They are in direct violation of their own contract. I'm sorry. I disagree with you. I still think you need to go back and take a look at
I disagree. It's a 1099. It has to do with wrestling and sports entertainment.
Right. And I do agree that their contracts need to be clarified. I don't want people to sit there and think that I'm okay with WWE screwing over the little guy, because I think that that's the problem that you guys are missing. It's not about screwing over the little guy. It's about paying attention to your contracts. Do I think that WWE contracts have been relatively unfair for the last 10, 20 years? Absolutely.
Yes.
Have there been many issues that have come up with WWE contracts that were unfair to wrestlers? Absolutely. But this is still the contract that they've signed. Do I believe that WWE contracts need to be clearer? It needs to have more definition based upon what they do support and what they don't support. Absolutely. But there's a reason why they write these contracts this way. And unfortunately, wrestlers keep signing them. So the reality is if people like Saraya, AJ Styles, and Mia Yim are unhappy with the contracts that have been written, then they need to not sign it the next time it comes along with those zeros.
That I agree with you with. But I will say again, it's wrestling and sports entertainment. Of course, the wrestlers are not going to show up in AEW because that is direct competition. But I personally think if this were to go to a court, WWE would have to prove that Twitch and talking about real life issues at 3 a.m, like I said, is in somehow direct competition with WWE streaming video games or The Undertaker's 30th anniversary or whatever.
It doesn't matter. Zero. Does not matter what the hell they talk about. Once again, this is not about Saraya. This is not about them directly.
And they don't own YouTube.
Competing with
YouTube
Twitch.
Is not in the contract.
They're working for a competitor.
Right, and WWE doesn't own the platform, YouTube. WWE made an agreement.
No, but WWE owns the WWE network.
Right, and the WWE network is not offering what they are doing on the Twitch channel, and that's why it's not in direct competition.
Absolutely they are. Drew McIntyre has a show. Alexa Bliss has a show. Miz and Maurice have their own show. Fucking Up, Down, Down has their show. Stone Cold Steve Austin has his show. Asuka has a YouTube show. Like, everybody has either a YouTube show or a WWE network show exclusively. So yeah, it is in direct competition with WWE.
Yeah, I tell you, like I said, I hope she doesn't back down, and I'm very curious.
I hope she doesn't either. Because I'd love to see what happens.
Yeah, I hope she doesn't back down, and I think that a lot of people out there should, if they use those platforms and they are convinced that they are, what if they're doing it from their house? You know what I mean? What if they have their own server? It's just, that's not in competition. I don't know, man. I just, like I said.
Okay, like the Bellas. Okay, so Stone Cold also has a beer. WWE's never said anything about his beer. I think they've even promoted it on a couple occasions. The Bellas have their own wine. They're still working with WWE, Total Divas and Total Bellas, right? So they have their own wine. They have their own clothing line, that whole Birdie Bee thing. You know, WWE has a clothing line. They've never said a thing about that.
Right.
Do you want to know my speculation as to the reason why? Because all of these other ventures that aren't getting pinged by WWE are done by either more independent and smaller companies, or they're done in-house, not with competitors of WWE that are bigger than that.
You would have to list.
WWE is a big company, but Twitch is a lot fucking bigger.
WWE cannot suddenly call people competitors once a contract is signed simply because they become successful.
Sure.
If
Absolutely.
WWE wants to venture in beer later on,
if the XFL,
it's got to be listed in the contract.
If the XFL came out and all of a sudden did well with the NFL doesn't consider the XFL competition? Absolutely they would. They weren't there 3 years ago.
Would you say MMA is in direct competition with WWE?
Yes, absolutely. Matter of fact, that's the reason why CM Punk himself had problems with WWE back in the day, because he wanted to go work for UFC while he was underneath WWE contract, and Vince pretty much said, fucking hell no.
Right, because that was sports entertainment.
No, because they're in direct competition. Well, I don't consider UFC sports entertainment, but I mean, you know, tomato. UFC is in direct competition with WWE.
Like I said, I think what it comes down to is I think people really need to start educating themselves as to what a 1099 person is. Because
I think you need to look at the contracts that they're signing, bud. I understand what you're saying.
That as well, but it's not open-ended as it appears. You know, if there could be a very small look. There's another look. Let's say WWE works out a deal with Twitter, because they do post videos on Twitter. Now, there's another form of Twitter out there. I don't remember the name of it. I actually signed up for it, but you know they're trying to. You remember the name?
TikTok.
What is it?
TikTok.
No, not TikTok. There's another version of Twitter out there, and they're promoting it that you could say whatever you want. It's free speech and this and that, and it's trying to get off the ground. Now, right now, it's like this. Now, what happens 5 years from now? It blows up because of what Twitter's doing, trying to censor, you know, certain speech. Now, all of a sudden, WWE says, oh, that's in direct competition with what we do on Twitter. And as a result, those people have to take their accounts down. You can't, it's not open-ended on that level. If you want to reclassify those people as employees and they're paid, you know, as an employer of World Wrestling Entertainment, then as long as that person is a full-time employee of your company and you're an entertainment company, they can't do anything that has any form of entertainment whatsoever. But as far as the 1099 goes, the 1099, whatever that person has you hired to do, you cannot do certain things. And it's not open-ended that if something gets big a couple of years from now, that suddenly, no, that's competition of ours. You can't keep relabeling it. You can't label it based on the stock market.
It absolutely does. If something comes up and becomes competition to WWE, do you think that they wrote the contracts 3 years ago with AEW in mind? No, they didn't.
No,
because AEW didn't exist. But now that
that's
AEW
a wrestling company.
Competition. It's the same competition. WWE isn't just a wrestling company anymore.
Right.
It's not.
Right. But they're not the be-all, end-all of any type of communication.
They are when it comes to the competition. They really are.
If a wrestler decides for $20, they'll start leaving voicemail messages for people, because that actually at one point was a very popular thing in the past. That for $20, you know, I'll leave a voicemail wishing your family a Merry Christmas. Where is that in competition with WWE?
It's not.
Okay,
it's not.
Now it blows up into a big thing. Now suddenly WWE, tell me why leaving a voicemail is not a form of entertainment.
Because a guy who's making $5 isn't a competitor to a company that's making $5
But if the company blows up,
that's making $10 billion is a competitor to the company that's making
right.
$5
That's why the contract is not open-ended.
It's not
based on the stock market. That if a company suddenly investors get behind it, becomes a $1 billion company, that you were allowed to do it before. You can't do it now.
Why wouldn't you consider them a competitor? because a contract was written before they existed? No, that's why they use legalese in order to cover these kind of situations.
Right.
That's why in this scenario, Twitch is the competitor to WWE. It's not like they're like, oh, Saraya is making too much money for WWE, so let's go get her. That's not the case at all.
They have a deal with YouTube. Okay, they have a deal with YouTube.
Yes,
okay.
they do. Yeah.
How come other programming on YouTube is not competition to WWE?
Because it's their partner.
Okay, and where in the contract does the wrestler have an agreement with Google and YouTube? If WWE wants to become partners with other entertainment outlets out there, see, my point is
they're partners in WWE. That's how can you even ask me that? How am I supposed to know
my
that?
point is, tomorrow WWE could sign an agreement with Twitch. And
Sure could.
that's fine. That's fine.
And then they would have problems with YouTube, I'm sure.
Right, but what I'm saying is, they didn't have a problem with Tout, but my point is that if WWE business,
Tout lost the money.
Smart business, if WWE says, we want to get behind Twitch, and they work out an agreement, now those wrestlers, are in a different platform entirely. Up until recently, Twitch was not an affiliate of WWE, didn't have a partnership. The wrestler who has an independent contract or a 1099 with WWE, that contract is between World Wrestling Entertainment and that person. It doesn't say that if WWE signs contracts with a telephone company, with a radio company, with a video company, with a streaming company, that if they ink any deals in the future that involve any of those platforms, now you can no longer do it. It's not open-ended like that.
I mean, I could sit there and read the contract. Do you want me to read Stephanie's contract?
No, it's not needed. I mean, it's just, look.
Well, it is, because it seems like that's the part that you're not understanding, what's actually written into the WWE.
No, read me the part that suddenly, if, a different platform, WWE joins up with them, then now all of a sudden, show me where the wrestler has the agreement with YouTube.
Exclusivity. It is the understanding of the parties that during the term, their contract, the worldwide rights to wrestlers' services, appearances, and or any performances in the entertainment industry, whether related to professional wrestling, sports entertainment, or other appearances, as previously stated, are exclusive to the promoter, WWE. Without limiting the generality or foregoing, it is further understanding of the parties that all rights, licenses, privileges, and all other items herein given or granted or assigned by wrestler to promoter hereunder are exclusive to the promoter, even to the exclusion of the wrestler. In this event, wrestler desires upon reasonable notice to the promoter, notice, once again, nothing given there, during the term either individually or through her authorized representatives to participate in other appearances, which is the entertainment industry, whether or not procured by the promoter, wrestler may do so only in the subject to condition upon the promoter's express written approval and provided that a written sublicense is executed between the promoter, wrestler, and any relevant third parties permitted activities, and further provided that wrestler shall not utilize intellectual property in any manner in connection with such permitted activities without the promoter's written consent. Basically, they needed to go to WWE and get personal consent from Vince and from whoever's writing the contracts to be able to go on Twitch and do these activities, which they did not do. What else can you possibly do?
No, I mean, it's, I agree with you. It sounds like to me that, like I said, I think a court is going to have to determine if Saraya, like I said, I know it keeps saying 3 o'clock in the morning. Court is going to have to determine that if Saraya at 3 o'clock in the morning is not in competition, or is not, confusion or whatever it is, I think that's what it comes down to. I think at the end of the day, it's World Wrestling Entertainment, and that anything with wrestling or sports entertainment, I agree 100% that anybody that works under WWE, independent contractor or not, they can't do anything that would be in competition with wrestling or sports entertainment. But if somebody wants to play a video game,
No. You keep missing that other activities, and I swear to God,
yeah, I understand that, but look.
No, GT. That's the end of statement. That other activities that they throw in there covers the internet, covers YouTube.
I understand.
Covers.
Can I make one point? This is why it needs a court. This is why a court's got to review it. Let me just say one last thing. A lot of contractors that I insure, when they work for another company, I have to notarize sometimes what is called a hold harmless agreement. What a hold harmless agreement is what, all right, I'll give you a good example. About a month ago, one of my customers came in, hey, Anthony, could you notarize this for me? What it was that they were being hired to, do a big construction project on a property. And they signed a hold harmless agreement that if anything happens on the property due to the negligence of my customer, the property holds my customer completely harmless, meaning that they hold harmless, that if anything goes wrong, they agree pretty much they're not going to go after my customer. I sign it, I notarize it, no problem. If somebody gets hurt or somebody dies or anything like that, and it is at the negligence of my customer, he can't just turn around and go, you can't sue me. You see, I agree. I advise anyone out there to Google hold harmless agreements. Just because you sign it, notarize it, doesn't mean that suddenly that person waives. You get someone that is absolutely desperate. Hey, you need some money to set. All right, I want you to sign this agreement. You waive everything about you to me. All right. At the end of the day, if someone they think they're being taken advantage of, or they think it goes to court, and the court will decide. If no one has that kind of leverage, and it's going to take a court to determine what is WWE's limitations here.
This is a contract that's been written for the last 7 years at least.
Dude,
this contract that I'm reading off right now is a contract that in 7 years, how many times has been signed by all the wrestlers and talent? With the
I agree
WWE?
with you with that. I agree.
There is a problem with this contract. There have been agents. There have been lawyers that have looked over this contract over and over and over again and have advised their clients to go ahead and sign this contract. It's not like the old days where it's a handshake agreement. This is all done by a plethora of fucking lawyers that sit around and design this contract. Now, if there's a problem with the sense of the contract from Paige's perspective, you're absolutely right that Paige does reserve the right to seek litigation over this case. But I'm telling you now, looking at this contract and with as many different ways that WWE has stated it, from booking to works to intellectual property to merchandising and exclusivity, WWE has covered every single base when it comes to their talent working for competitors.
Can I say this? That I agree with you with, because I have said this repeatedly. Andrew Yang, I like him. But at the end of the day, a lot of people, including wrestlers, and just because you're a talented, unbelievable athlete in the ring doesn't mean that you have all the smarts there. Andrew Yang definitely means well. But if you notice, every interview that Andrew Yang does, he can never explain why, if WWE has been so fucked up, why they've won in court with every lawsuit that has pretty much happened. As far as the concussions or class action or this and that, they've won everything. And, when Andrew Yang says if Biden gets put in, I'm going to go after Vince McMahon, at the end of the day, it ends up in court. Andrew Yang is not higher than the courts. The courts are not higher than our government. So the thing is that no one, even though Andrew Yang, it hits your strings, fuck you, Vince, whatever you all want to say. But at the end of the day, Andrew Yang, he is just a politician. You watch.
With the idea that Andrew Yang should try to change the policies.
He can't, because he knows in court he will lose.
but I agree with the attempt.
On the emotional side, we agree. But on the legal side, he's got no basis. He uses he uses emotion to push his agenda. He uses emotion.
Right. Well, I mean, of course, yeah. Facts don't give a shit about your feelings. That was this little Jew guy, Ben. I know, but yeah, no. I mean, the reality is the contract states it very clearly. WWE is a jealous company. Let me just break it down in fucking Mish words, okay? WWE and Vince McMahon and all of the McMahons are a very jealous company. They don't want their likeness. They don't want their shit being used by anybody else since the days of Ted Turner. They've been very, very, very reluctant to do business with anybody that cannot make WWE better or bigger. And now you're in a position where these individual talents are like, hey, Twitch is cool. I can go to Twitch and play a couple video games and shoot the shit and make some money on the side. And it's not like WWE cares that they're doing this. They care about the fact that the company they're working for is in direct competition to their bottom dollar. They want all of those Twitch people to come to WWE's network and watch AJ Styles on WWE's network for $9.99 a month. They want them to watch Paige, Saraya on WWE's network for $9.99 a month. They don't want them to go to Twitch and get their fulfillment of WWE there. They're in direct competition. Even if Mia Yim wanted to do a YouTube channel, that's fine because they're in partnership with WWE, which ultimately pays WWE anyways. It's a scratch my back, scratch your back situation. And when they're going to Twitch, there's no back to scratch. And that's the fucking problem that WWE has. Let's not break any fucking bones about it. WWE has done everything that they can to keep their talent in-house. They don't do anything. They don't allow their talent, for the most part, with the exception of beers and clothing and random TV shows. They don't like their talent going anywhere that WWE can't sit there and say, hey, WWE superstar Dave Bautista is in Guardians of the Galaxy. Believe me, that shit ate up their crowd. Matter of fact, me and you actually had a discussion about this, I think along with Joe, when Batista came back into the WWE. I think it was maybe the first time, maybe it was the second time. But WWE
the blue
didn't
pants.
drop one fucking word. He didn't drop one word about him being in Guardians of the Galaxy. And it was the most uncomfortable thing because we're like, well, what the fuck? You guys promote these little fucking twinks over there on the A-Team movie, but you won't promote one of your own stars in one of the biggest movies of the fucking century? Are you kidding me? So WWE has proven their jealousy countless times. This is no different than any other jealous scenario.
I guess it comes down to is where we disagree more than anything is that if you're on your own free time and you're not under the hours of WWE and you're not a character in a movie or a TV show and you're just yourself and it's whatever time it is and you're just talking about real life. And if a bunch of people, want to chat with you back and also send you some donations along the way for support, I don't know how donations couldn't be a competition for anything. You're not offering something for a fee.
It depends. Yes, it does. It depends. I'll explain Twitch donations to you. So it costs you 1.4 cents for every bit. So if you want 100 bits, it's like I think it's like $1.40. $1 of that, or 1 cent of that, goes to the wrestler or the streamer, and the 0.4 goes directly to Twitch. Now here's the difference: if you buy bits and give them to your favorite streamer, let's say Paige, that goes directly to her, and at the end of the month, Twitch takes their cut from the 0.4 cents of the bits donated to that wrestler or that streamer. So you can buy, let's say, 1,000 bits and give 500 to Paige and then 500 to DSP. Okay? I don't know why you'd give 500 to DSP, but we'll say you gave 500 to DSP. It doesn't mean that Paige now pays the 0.4 from the entire 1,000 bits.
Right.
It comes out at the end of the month when they do the tally up before they pay her. Same thing with the Twitch subscriptions. Now, Twitch subs is a different thing. Twitch and Amazon are partnered. Obviously, Twitch is a sub company of Amazon. Amazon being one of the largest companies in the entire fucking world. So Twitch Prime costs about $5. And I believe that Twitch Ghost or whatever the fuck that's called, which is like the super prime fucking subscription with no ads, that's like $8.99, $9. Twitch takes 50% of every single sub, no matter what level it is. No matter if it's Twitch Prime, no matter if it's a monthly donation submarine, Jesus Christ. If it's a monthly dono sub, they take 50% of that. Now, there are other donations that fans can do in those streams that don't take any precedence from Twitch. There is direct PayPal donations, and Twitch doesn't claim a fucking nickel from that. But at that point, PayPal claims their 30, 40 fucking percent for every single one of those donations. Right. So there are third-party people in the middle of this. This is my problem with Paige on this one. If Paige would shut the fuck up and play ball with YouTube and WWE, she could possibly make even more money with those two companies than she does with Twitch. Let me explain why. YouTube, if she ran a YouTube channel that was obviously run by WWE, YouTube does not claim subscription money. Everybody can subscribe to Soraya's channel for free. This is something that Twitch doesn't do. YouTube does charge 30% on super chats. So if they have a $10 super chat donation, $7 would go to Soraya, $3 goes to YouTube. That's pretty much the gimme. They also charge for advertisements. Sponsors are different than advertisers, so let me clarify that. Advertisers from YouTube get claimed 40% from the advertisers, which is still less than what Twitch demands from subscriptions, meaning that more money is going in Soraya's pocket. Not to mention that sponsorships through YouTube are 100% in Soraya's pocket. If she has privatized and indirect sponsorships, those are her money directly, no overhead. Now, here comes the kicker with WWE, because everybody wants to know, what does WWE charge? If WWE charges less than 50% to broadcast her on YouTube and to broadcast her on the WWE network, she's already making more money on WWE and YouTube than she is on Twitch.
Right.
And
I'll tell you
let's not forget the fact that even though there's a lot of people on Twitch that subscribe to Twitch, and it's the 34th largest site in the world, YouTube is the second largest site in the world. The potential for subscribers on YouTube is 34 times the amount that she could get on Twitch.
I'll tell you the reason why.
Underneath the WWE network, it seems like it's a real stupid move on her part not to take the fucking deal.
Well, I'll tell you the reason why I think she prefers Twitch than that idea. Sure. What you said is a great idea. What happens when she's no longer working for WWE? That channel's WWE owned. She's got nothing.
I think they would still keep her, though. Like, it's kind of like, look at it like this. If she is that much of a commodity, DT, do you really think they would let her go?
What if they did? She's left with no channel. So on Twitch, that's why if you see a lot of what she wrote.
And that's another problem I have with. She's over here running down the company this entire time, and she's still working for them. She's still getting 6 figures, DT. She's getting $200,000 to sit on her ass and do Twitch and make another $70,000 a month.
Maybe
do you understand that?
She
has 151,000 people that are subscribed to her, not even including all of the viewers, which gets even higher than that, which can reach up to the 300,000s. She's making, on average, recently, overall, I think she makes around 60,000, which is the entire total of her career on Twitch. But if you're talking about the last 3 to 6 weeks, she's been making closer to 70,000 a month.
Maybe she should leave WWE.
Maybe she should, but you know what? You leave WWE and then bury them. You don't bury them while they're actually paying for your house and your car and your exorbitant lifestyle while you're making money by being a competitor to the company that's paying you. I just have a real problem with that. There's a level of entitlement there that's absolute garbage. If this entire thing that we're discussing today had more to do with AJ Styles, I would be addressing this entire thing differently because AJ Styles has handled this like a gentleman and a fucking scholar. So, yeah, I have a problem with Paige.
Well, it's different with AJ Styles because he's on TV every week and he's, you know, you see what Paige is saying. She's home. Yes, she's getting paid, but she's just home or, you know, not doing nothing for WWE. And if she was that important of an asset, then why are they not using her?
Have you read some of these responses to this whole thing? People literally, DT, literally believe that WWE broke her neck twice based upon her video and her responses. Like they actually think Vince McMahon walked up and just punched her in the back of the
Well, that's those are moronic people. I stay away from
these are the people that are defending her. These are the kind of nitwits that are going out of their way saying burn down the WWE. It's these kind of fucking smooth-brained morons that don't understand that there's more to these contracts than just what you see on a Twitch stream.
Yeah. Well, you know, interesting discussion, my friend. Interesting discussion. You know,
I love it.
You know, again, I think one thing, I know we probably went a little longer than expected, but one thing is for certain. You know, you could see it on both sides of the coin, but in the end, you know, these wrestlers, you know, maybe Charlotte might be the smartest one of them all because she made that deal with that agent, that talent agent recently, who represents some big-time athletes, I don't even think in wrestling. And I think that's, put it this way, I think the current talents that this may affect, I think if they were smart, you know, even if they have to sacrifice a little bit more in the end to an agent, I think they probably are going to need to find different representation when contracts come up for renewal. And I think if WWE is starting to deal with agents that are having much higher demands for certain things like this, either WWE's going to have to cave a little bit or, you know, the wrestlers are going to have to find alternate means of employment. And I'll tell you, the fact that, you know, AEW, you know, doesn't pay as unbelievable as people think it does. And let me also say they're also not hiring like maybe Dixie Carter and TNA did a while back. But they do allow their contracted stars. You know, it's funny how nobody ever asks. You remember early on, before AEW had their first TV show, and you had the Young Bucks. And one of my favorite discussions you and I had in history, shows I've done, one thing I loved was when the Young Bucks were talking about how, you know, they want every wrestler to have health care and this and that. You and I spent about 30 minutes educating everyone why that is just impossible. And, you know, it's the legalese, but at the end of the day, a health insurance company only wants to cover the employees of the employer. And a health insurance company, what?
I was going to say, do you remember when me and you actually got into it together when we were trying to figure out about unions, why SAG-AFTRA?
Yes, with the Actors Guild. Sure.
I mean, yeah, we've tried. We've tried on multiple occasions, both of us in our own ways, to try and figure out why some of these contracts don't allow certain things. What would it take for a wrestling union to even happen? And a lot of these answers are either marred by, like you said, legalese contracts, or just by indecision from companies that should be, you know, leading the way. I mean, a lot of false promises, a lot of mistakes, and a lot of just, you know.
The problem is everybody wants to talk in sound bites. People are more concerned with getting likes on social media than actually talking real. And the Young Bucks, I have no problem with them whatsoever, and they meant well. But from day one, you and I said they were full of shit in what they were saying. Because I work in insurance for 20-some odd years. And rule number one, no health insurance company in the world is going to insure a 1099 for an employer. They're not considered an employee. So you could preach that all you want and get 1,000 likes and say, oh, wrestlers need it. But at the end of the day, you have to do the research and the logic and understand. You have to understand why this doesn't happen and this doesn't. Like I said, Andrew Yang, he means well. I truly believe that. But nobody ever will ask him, how come Vince keeps losing in court? And you know, I can predict his answer. Oh, Republican judges and this and that. He's got no answer. And even if he wanted to do what he says he wants to do to Vince, it's got to go to the court. Right. And in the court, they keep winning. So in the end of the day, like you said, these wrestlers probably have to get better representation and they have to tweak these deals. I think Paige
I would like to see her, you know what? I mean, with as many people that are backing her, and she's made a big deal about a lot of the positivity that she's received, I would like to see her take this to litigation. If she's as serious as she claims to be, put up or shut up. Put them balls on the table, girl. Let's see them. Let's see you.
It's not that easy, though, especially when you are dealing with emotional issues. I know she's got more than a lot of us, but still, at the end of the day, she is a human being. And if this is a release for her also emotionally, I can understand. But, you know, I feel if she tweaked the channel a little bit and made it donations only, I don't think WWE has any leverage whatsoever, because if you're doing something for free and you're just taking donations, you know, WWE cannot demand a cut for something that you're not offering, you're not trying to get paid for, because it's just free on your own dime.
I still disagree. I think it's because of the platform. I don't really think it's necessarily her personal, what she does on the platform.
They're going to have to start specifying the platforms.
WWE cannot have her on the platform that's a competitor to them. You know?
Yeah. Well, we will see what happens. To be continued, obviously.
Sure. I think we'll actually have this conversation again soon.
Yeah. So,
I mean, Tuesday, if I'm around Tuesday, I'm sure there's going to be some feedback from this.
Oh, yeah. So, you know, with that said, I guess the pre-recorded side of this is pretty much done. I know we haven't talked since Wednesday's shows, but you told me before we went live, and I kind of agree with you. I watched a lot of it again. Halloween Havoc might have been one of WWE's best events in the last 10 years from beginning to end. And, you know, it obviously was just a commercial 2-hour show. We're not comparing it to pay-per-view. But as far as a televised regular show, this was up there. It's amazing. And I praised the hell out of them on Friday. I mean, I literally clapped on Friday. Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest, I have broke it down for several months that they do not pop ratings on Wednesdays. They have been in the under 600,000 viewership many times, and in many of their matches, the ratings consistently went down. Damian Priest main evented not too long ago. He teamed up with, I think, Io Shirai, and the rating was very disappointing. Add a little gimmick, add a little, you know, pizzazz with the Halloween Havoc behind it. They did over 900,000.
The live performance intro for Damian Priest, that was great. Awesome. Then you had Shotzi out there with the actual wheel the entire time. And at first I wasn't sure. I'm like, man, why is Shotzi doing the Ember Moon gimmick? Like, what the fuck is going on there? Obviously, Shotzi came out looking like a succubus, a lot more suck in a good way. And I don't know if you've seen Ember Moon lately, but she looks like Papa Shango's daughter. So she's going in a whole different direction for her. But overall, the night, the gimmicks, the production values, the audio. I mean, just that pre-taped fight between oh my gosh,
Cameron Grimes and Dexter Lumis.
Lumis and Grimes was fantastic. All the little jump scares and some of the funny bits that happened in the middle of that thing was phenomenal. It was fucking phenomenal. It was better than AJ Styles and Undertaker, and I loved AJ Styles, Undertaker, the pre-recorded stuff. So yeah,
in the production value we're talking about.
Yeah. In the production value, I think the only thing that would be on par with as good as that was the New Day versus the Wyatt family way back in the day. People probably don't even.
Or the Hardy compound and Impact, the deletion.
Yes, of course. But I was just thinking WWE. But yeah, the Hardy compound was fantastic. But overall, the entire night was fantastic. And of course, I mean, I do give a little bit of a rub because they had Poppy come out there with Io Shirai, and they brought back fucking crazy Io Shirai. God knows I love me some crazy Io Shirai, and I thought that was fantastic overall. Even Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez.
They got an awesome rating.
Holy shit. I did not – look, I've seen Raquel Gonzalez a few times, and I kind of saw her as being very generic. Rhea Ripley went out of her way to make that girl look phenomenal, and I appreciated every single bit of it. There's not much on that show that was fat. Most of it was cut out, and everything else was just lean, good fucking fun. And I really appreciate the hell out of NXT and WWE and Triple H for Halloween Havoc this year. It was definitely by far a present that I needed as a wrestling fan, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. That's why to me, this was one of the best shows in 10 years.
You know, it's funny. I saw a lot of people talking about how, they needed a gimmick to beat AEW in the ratings. Not for nothing, but AEW celebrated 30 years of Jericho. AEW did their 1-year anniversary show. AEW did Fight for the Fallen, I think. My point is that both companies have done... they both they both done themed. It's just that I don't think any of us ever thought WWE would go this far out as far as the production value of Halloween Havoc. And you know, I look, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if it's a themed event or not. Entertain me, and that's all that matters. That's really all that matters. And sure, this week the numbers will probably go back to comparable of what it's been. But so what? You know what I mean? And just entertain me. I think people just focus on the cosmetic side of it for conversation. Obviously, I get into quarter-hour ratings more for trends than anything else. But you know, it was a fun night of wrestling. Very fun night of wrestling.
It was very good.
Yeah,
it was very well done.
And this Saturday we have AEW's pay-per-view, and I'll tell you, you know, I'm gonna do predictions probably Wednesday night, unless you want to join me maybe Friday and we'll do predictions. I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but my point is, you look at the card on paper. To me, I personally think it's AEW's strongest pay-per-view that they've had to date. I mean, there are so many top-notch matches on that card. It looks like my favorite card to date.
I'll have to come back to you about Friday because Friday's when I'm doing the big move.
Oh, okay. Like, yeah. So let's just, forget that. But still, I mean, it's loaded. It's loaded, you know. Wrestling boom? No, I still don't think so yet, especially COVID, obviously, is interrupting that.
Won't be happening for a very long time, but at the same time, we can have wrestling sparks. How about that?
Yeah.
Wrestling firecrackers. Maybe not booms, just firecrackers.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that, you know.
Yeah. You wanted to bring up a couple of points on the WWE financials that came out. You know, can I just say one thing before you say anything?
Sure.
What upset me the most, and I mentioned this Friday, and I'm not pro-Vince, anti-Vince, and this and that, but my point is, they made a point on the conference call to say that almost all of the furloughed, the employees who were furloughed in April, whatever it was, that almost all of them will be brought back by the end of the year.
Yep.
And 95% of websites and podcasts went out of their way to not mention that. So it's big.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Look around. And I was like, man, you know, people.
We brought it up on Thursday.
I know you did.
And I only brought it up in passing. I mean, we didn't.
Yeah, because we were all like, all right, we'll believe it when we see it, obviously. But still, I thought that was a pretty big deal to realize that a lot of people who we felt bad were getting let go, are going to be brought back. And nobody wanted to bring that part up.
After looking at WWE's Q3 financial results, what was it on Wednesday? Thursday they came out with for the September 30th quarter. The revenue for WWE was $221.6 million, an increase of 19% compared to last year's quarter. Operating income, $63.4 million, an increase of 9 times, or $57 million. The WWE Network average of paid subscribers was 1.6 million, increase of 6%. E-commerce, 9.1 million, increase of 60%. Jesus. People are buying T-shirts. Third quarter financial performance was strong and reflected our ongoing creativity in a challenging environment, said Vince McMahon. We continue to adapt our business as demonstrated by the creation of the WWE Thunderdome, focusing on increasing audience interaction and engagement to support the value of our content globally. The network subscriber count and data for quarter 3 ended with a total of 1.54 million paying subscribers, 1.6 million paying subscribers during these months, an increase of 6%. A total of 1.13 million subscribers are of the U.S., 412,000 international, with the most cancellations coming from those living outside of the U.S.
It's impressive. But again, you know, again, I know a lot of people out there are like, look how great they're doing. They didn't need to release all those people. Yes, you know, easy to say that thinking with this, but if you're a business, a $1 billion business, a publicly traded company, numbers like that is what you want. I mean, that's what you want. You know, the funny thing is, it blows me away that people frown on success. I've brought it up, you know, as big as companies, as small as social media. You know, you post something positive and people get bitter, get angry. You know, it's just, and you have a company that is doing well and people frown on that. It's like, oh, see, they didn't need to fucking let all those people go. Yeah. And when they don't let those people go and those numbers are lower and the investors drop their purchases at WWE.
Can we be honest? Those people were WWE, the people in charge, Vince, Stephanie H., all those people, they were advised. They were absolutely advised by other professionals that said, hey, this might be the time to let some of these people go for a while. They were absolutely, this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction from WWE. WWE doesn't do knee-jerk reactions the same way that me and you and other normal people would have a knee-jerk reaction to something. WWE is planning to make money. They plan to keep billions of dollars. If they're advised by investors or other financial constituents that have more information on what to do during a situation like COVID, or at least an idea of what to do during this entire epidemic, then they were absolutely going to follow the advice of those people that were more well-informed than they were. And that's what they did. And the furloughs happened and the firings happened. And now that WWE is in the third quarter, they're pulling in record numbers here. It's absolutely a great time for them to bring back some of these furloughed people and try and obviously, you know, help those families that were loyal to WWE, and at the same time continue to grow the company in positive ways. You know, one of the things that I talked about with Joey that I'm not even sure that I talked about with you, but I found it really odd. A lot of the wrestlers that were let go, instead of trying to renegotiate their contracts for less money, they just decided to be let go. Did you find anything odd about that? Somebody who's making $150,000 a year or $200,000 a year didn't turn around and said, hey, Vince, you know what? I know the company's going through a hard time right now. You've been loyal to me. I want to be loyal to you. I'll take half my pay. Keep me on board, and I'll work for half my pay. Why weren't there more stories like this where people were – because everybody always thinks it's up to the employer. It's always the employer's fault to be loyal to the employee. But at what point does the employee have to be loyal to their employer? We're not talking about some faceless conglomerate. These people can go talk to Vince and Stephanie McMahon anytime they want to. They can actually talk to the people that run the company. And so it just seems a little odd to me that a lot of these wrestlers that were let go never even attempted that.
I think for some of them, getting that 90-day, pay without having to work at all is probably a wonderful thing. I think some of them, because of COVID, thought it's probably better idea to stay home for now. Maybe some of them, I don't know. Everybody's situation is different, but, it is what it is. I mean, that's why, like I say, just because someone you like, gets let go and gets a different employment, or it's someone you dislike, I don't think any of us have any right to judge, why they go somewhere or why they don't go somewhere. It's a very good question you say. I mean, you haven't heard anybody, and here's the thing. I know what some people are going to say. Well, maybe some did, but a lot of these wrestlers who have been released have done interviews, and in no area of their conversation did they say anything about, tried to renegotiate, tried to work out a no deal. The only person I think was Drake Maverick.
Great. Yeah, Drake.
I think Drake Maverick is the only one, and he's taking less money now.
Yeah.
He's the only one.
You know what? He might be the only. You're right. Maybe that is the only person that did it. And you could tell that Drake was losing his mind because maybe some people forget, but when he was actually fired, he had a heartbreaking response to leaving WWE. He felt gutted. Not just on a financial business level, but on a personal level. He felt like he had the chance to do something great, and it was cut out from underneath him. And I understand the situation. Obviously, we're talking about the epidemic. We're also talking about the bus flip. But you're right. I think Drake might have been the only guy to sit there and take a knee and say, you know what, I'll take less. Just make me a part of the show. I'll take less.
Do you remember the video that he sent me? You remember that?
Vaguely.
Well, when everybody got let go, we felt so bad. Everybody, and a lot of people were saying online, look, if a lot of your wrestlers are out of work right now, buy their shirts if you want to support them and this and that. Now's the time to, if you can. And, we sent Drake Maverick through his Cameo, whatever the money was. And we sent it to 4 people. We never made public the other 3 because everything was done privately. The only reason why I even brought this publicly is because he ended up doing a video anyway, and it was on his Cameo for a while. And what we did was I wrote to him and 3 other people. I can tell you 2 of them are in Impact now, and just said, look, keep strong. It's a little something, but, maybe once this pandemic is over, you take your significant other out for dinner or something and just a little something back. And every single time said, we don't want any video in return. Don't have to send us a video. There was really no other way to send a gift to someone. And he responded. I have the video here. I don't think I'm going to play it, but he even says in the video, he's like, I know you told me and don't want a video, but he still wanted to respond and he really appreciated it. And, WWE brought him back, worked out a deal. And I got news for you. I don't know, Vince personally or Triple H or Stephanie or any of them, but something tells me, especially with Vince, that if someone fights for themselves and really, cares and shows that they really truly are worthy and they can really help the company and they think that WWE's making a horrible decision, I think, like you said, speaking out and offering to renegotiate and this is what I love and I will do whatever, I think that's, like points for WWE. You want someone that says, look, man, yeah, someone that's really loyal like that. And as far as I know, I think Drake Maverick might have been the only one. I think Heath Miller, also may wanted to have worked out something with WWE because he was, really, really hurt by it. But some others, they just decided to go the fuck you WWE route. And it's very hard to renegotiate your deal when within 24 hours you're doing this online. That's why even last week I was talking about, the Joey Janela, Ethan Page fighting over baseball cards. You and I had this discussion. And, some issues need to be resolved outside of social media. Everybody wants to run and use social media for some type of leverage or some type of an emotional, support. And sometimes things need to be done outside of Twitter and Facebook. And I think some of these wrestlers, burnt a bridge that probably wasn't needed. They shouldn't have had that knee-jerk reaction. Sure, they're insulted and hurt. Fuck, I just lost my job. I got family and kids at home. These motherfuckers let me go. Of course, they have every right to be angry, but, it makes you wonder that if they would have got off their high horse and thought more of being like a person and a family man or family woman instead of, you know what I mean? And we don't want to single out any names, but you all could remember some of the people online who just, decided to vent instead of just keeping quiet, maybe working something out. And who knows, they might have been brought back by now. And some of those people aren't working, period. I think some people didn't realize the Highlander effect. I'll never forget. Remember the Highlanders? Was it Rory McAllister? Remember when he showed up sitting in Impact? Yeah. I'm Robbie. I'm Rory. But, they were let go. Nobody heard about them ever again, for the most part. The Heartthrobs, they got let go. Yeah, nobody really heard about them much. I think some of these people thought their net value was a lot higher than what it really was,
Well, now they learn.
Yeah. Last thing before we go, I think this is awesome. And you mentioned earlier that there was something else that could have been in development years earlier and it didn't come to pass. But I love the fact that Netflix and WWE are working together to create a Vince McMahon docuseries. I think when you say docuseries, I immediately think of The Undertaker. They had those 4 or 5 chapters.
Yeah, Last Ride show. And Right.
I think this will be a version of that. I think it's going to go Vince McMahon through his childhood family, not focus all that much, talk about his father. And then it's going to lead probably to a chapter about WrestleMania 1 and, showing up on the Turner Network, and then, running through becoming a, big time, promotion, knocking out a lot of people out of business. I think there's going to be a lot of personal stuff about Vince that we never knew about before.
Think so?
I think it's going to humanize Vince a lot more. And the one thing I love about this, because you have brought up a few times, there were other projects in the past about Vince.
Oh, yeah.
But the one thing...
trying to be made about, I think in 2015, 2016, there was one company that was trying to make a biopic about Vince, but there were some disagreements with the direction of the biopic, meaning to me, because they never really said what the disagreements were, but they were either trying to get into his family life with his mom. We all know that there's problems there. Or they were trying to get into some of the slanderous comments that have happened over the years.
Sensationalize it.
Yeah, things that Vince wants to keep in the closet. So I don't doubt that this series won't be as deep as people think it will, but it'll be very complete. I think if you're doing a series like this, it's going to be a very complete visual of everything public, mostly good, I would assume, of Vince McMahon's life story. I don't think it's going to get into the dirt. It's not going to get into the rumors. It's not going to get into the hearsay.
I disagree.
You really think it?
I disagree.
I don't know, man.
I think a lot of
for that.
I think a lot of dirt is going to be uncovered. I think a lot, but
really,
I do. I think it's going to be a lot more thorough than we expect. But I also what I love about it is because WWE is involved, you will have the right people being interviewed. You have outsiders who have tried to do biopics in the past of various people, and you have so many people absent, interviewed because they're part of WWE or whatever it is. This is one where, and I understand some people are going to be like, well, because WWE's involved, they can direct how they want this to go.
Right.
But, and I agree, but I also think that Vince will, actually confront. I personally think we may even have some type of discussion about, big time, deep discussion about steroids, about him and things about himself personally. I don't want to say anything specific.
It's going to be more, instead of this being like a biopic, you're thinking this is almost more of an expose.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's going to be things discussed that people are going to be blown. I think you'll probably have people say repeatedly, like, holy shit, I never ever expected him to discuss this, or I can't believe that I never knew about this. I think there's going to be a lot of that. And again, what I love about this is you don't have an outside company trying to fill in the blanks, sensationalizing things because they don't know the true answer, and because it's an outside entity, they can't interview the people that they want to, and you end up with just like a handful. That's why I'm glad Netflix is doing it and not Vice.
Right.
I have changed my tune about Vice. I like the Dark Side of the Ring stuff. Some of the episodes I hated, but I binge watched them earlier this year. I watched every episode, and I'm like, yeah, overall, I'm enjoying it. But
it's a fun series.
Yeah, I was saying that, please, I don't want a Vince McMahon, because 90% of the people who should be talking won't or can't, and you're not going to get it from the horse's mouth. Here, you're going to get a lot of it from the horse's mouth. I expect a lot of revelations.
Has it been concluded, or has there been mention that Vince will actually do some of this documentary himself? Like, will he have interviews? Okay, so this isn't going to be just in the sense of people all around Vince talking about Vince. Vince himself will address some of the things.
I think it's going to remind a lot of people in ways of the Undertaker series. Okay. The more I read about it, the more I was just left like, okay, you're going to get a side of Vince that we probably never envisioned. Look, he's older now. He's much more mellow. Every person after their match, he's almost in tears. Every time he hugs someone, he's got the red glassy eyes. So Vince, obviously, it's funny. Vince, in some ways, reminds me of my dad, in the sense that my father, and I brought this up before, my father, because my father's old school Italian. When I was a kid, my father beat me with the strap, and I deserved it many times. And, and my father always had a horrible temper. And my father, there were times that I'm sure he was not happy about himself. But over the last 25 years, my father has turned into a teddy bear. He's still, you fuck with him, he'll still snap on your ass, and he's triple degree black belt. But the thing is, my father has mellowed so much that, I think he finally let like that rigid exterior. He allowed people to come in, and my father turned into just an absolute beautiful. He was always a wonderful person, but and Vince, I think people are going to be left with, and sure, you're going to have detractors are going to say, it's just show, but I think people are going to see like the Vince with Bob Costas, that real confrontation. I don't think that Vince is alive anymore. I think over the years with family and age and health and tragedies and, becoming mortal, I mean, he can't do what he used to do in the ring. I think all of that changes a person. I think this is going to be eye-opening for a lot of people. I'll tell you, and I'll admit if I'm wrong, I truly think that if this goes the way I think it will, when it's done, I think you'll hear me saying it's the best wrestling-related documentary I've ever seen.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I really hope so, because if anybody deserves one of the best documentaries ever made, it would be Vince McMahon.
I think it's his, what'd you call it before? It's like it's like its final chapter. You know, like this is
yeah, I forgot the word I used.
What word? It's not, it doesn't begin with an E, but it's almost like memoirs. I think it's almost going to be like a memoir. It's going to be a shitload more than that. But I think in the end, especially at the end of this series, I think this is going to be more of like Vince McMahon's memoir. This is the closest you're ever going to get for a Vince McMahon memoir. You're not getting a shoot interview. You know, you're not getting that. This is the closest you'll get to a Vince McMahon memoir. So,
very good.
Yeah, with that, my friend, I wish you safe travels. Again, for those that don't know, Mish will be on the road, moving as of tomorrow. Now, because this pre-recorded part, and I know some people are going to be disappointed at this, because this pre-recorded part went 2 hours, and because Raw goes off the air at 11:05, and I would have done probably 30 minutes of a Raw recap beforehand, it would be kind of stupid for me live on Monday to be sitting in the background for 2 hours while this streams for everybody. So what that means is that you will not get me live again after this pre-recorded part is finished. So in other words, for everyone who is here on YouTube or audio only, sayonara, much love as always. The show is over for tonight. Please post your feedback. Let us know you disagree, agree on whatever we talked about. Obviously, the topics that I discussed Monday live as well. And if you're part of our Patreon family, Tuesday night, 9 p.m., we're going to start an hour later because of the election. Mish and I will be on Patreon for Breakfast Soup. We're going to have some wrestling discussion, but we're also going to monitor the election in real time and discuss whatever comes in. And by the end of Breakfast Soup Tuesday night, we may have the winner of the next election. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this live Breakfast Soup pans out Tuesday night. So once again, my friends, safe travels. I will definitely talk to you until, oh, one last thing for our Patreon family. Tuesday will be audio only because Mish will still be in the process of moving and all this video equipment will be boxed up. So Tuesday will be audio only. It'll be live 9 p.m. on the Patreon Discord. So Mish, if you need me for anything, you know I'm here.
You guys take it easy. Much love, everyone. Thank you very much for listening to me and DT's debate. Hope you guys had a good time.
Yeah, we only had to do it once. To be continued.
Yeah, please feel free to leave comments or whatever, because by the time we get around Tuesday, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of counterpoints to both of us. I'd love to read those and find out what you guys think. So thank you very much, and I will see you guys Tuesday.
Take care, my friend. All right, everybody. Like I said, I am recording this right now, Sunday night. It's, Jesus Christ, 1:30 in the morning. I didn't even realize we were going to go this late. I know I had originally said that I would return Monday night after this pre-record would be over with and then give you some final closing thoughts. But again, since this part is 2 hours long, plus whatever I discussed about Raw, you're probably going to end up with almost a 3-hour show. And rather than stay on the sidelines for 2 hours while you watched this pre-record with Mish, I'll probably be catching my Z's. So everyone, I bid you farewell for this episode of Breakfast Soup Raw. Please post your feedback as always. And I will be right back here on YouTube Wednesday for Wednesday Night Dynamite. Friday will be the Don Tony Show. We'll talk SmackDown and everything else. And remember, this weekend coming up, we have AEW's pay-per-view. And as I said earlier, I think it's, for me, the most loaded card. It's from top to bottom. Pretty much every match I'm really looking forward to. And I think this may end up being one of the top best pay-per-views AEW's done to date. So I hope it delivers. I think it will. And that's pretty much it. So everyone, take care, be well, stay safe. And, if you vote with your heart and your mind, and don't do it or be swayed based on what other people are saying, you know, good or bad. Do what you feel is best. Don't ever feel that you're doing something wrong. If you're true to your heart and true to your mind and true to your conscience, that can never be wrong. But, you know, just stay safe, because Lord knows what's going to happen, you know, regardless of who ends up being a winner. So that's it, everyone. Much love as always. Thank you for the support, and you all have a good night. Be well. Ciao.